All right, welcome everyone. We have quite a few bills and witnesses. We have a budget to move tomorrow, and we have voting this afternoon, and we're back on the floor. As I announced yesterday, if you were watching, and if you were not, I will let you know we are moving 1 minute per witness, and I will cut you off. So I want to apologize in advance for being a little curt, and if I appear rude, we need to keep everyone to 1 minute. So we will stop your testimony right at 1 minute. The first bill we'll hear today is 1455, Delegate Young. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. May I pull the panel up? Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the Appropriations Committee, first I want to thank you, Mr. Chair, for your accommodation allowing us to go first. As we normally find ourselves at the back of some of these hearings, we really appreciate you taking that time for us. And for the record, my name is Delegate Kaylin Young, 45th District, here for House Bill 1455. This bill comes at the request of some of the colleagues that you see by my side, folks from Jewish Voices for Peace, folks from CARE, and folks who represent state employees and retirees across the state of Maryland. Currently, our pension system is invested in the sovereign debt of the government of Israel. These investments directly entangle Maryland's public funds with a foreign government engaged in a devastating and protracted conflict, one that has created an unprecedented humanitarian crisis as well as a seven-front war. Investing in the bonds of a foreign government actively engaged in conflicts is a significant and volatile risk to our investment portfolios. Beyond the moral implications, it exposes our pensioners' futures to unpredictable outcomes of the global conflict. The bill comes and follows a long history of divestment campaigns used as a tool of economic pressure to achieve foreign policy and human rights goals by the state of Maryland. The most notable precedent is the successful campaign in 1984 to divest from companies doing business with the apartheid-era South African government, which is widely credited with helping to end that regime. In recent years, similar campaigns have targeted fossil fuel companies, private prisons, and firearms manufacturers. Maryland has also previously passed legislation to divest from companies doing business with Iran in 2008, as well as Sudan in 2007 over human rights concerns. Most recently, we did the similar legislation in response to the Russia invasion of Ukraine. This bill is part of a more broader BDS movement, which you have heard of, many of you may have heard of. I've also got another piece of legislation that speaks to the unconstitutional executive order by Larry Hogan from 2017 that prevents Maryland businesses from doing business with the state of Maryland unless they sign a certification that they will not boycott, divest, or sanction the state of Israel, which I think is a violation of the First Amendment. But back on this bill, this bill is also meant to fly directly in the face of that executive order. Divestment is a nonviolent, morally necessary tool to protest ongoing conflict and human rights abuses. Opponents might argue that we're discriminating, that we are going to harm pension fund returns, or maybe even that we are unfairly singling out a particular nation. I refer you first and foremost back to the precedent that I just mentioned from the standpoint of that singling out. And when you look at the fiscal note, as it talks about what could be losses, I argue that where we invest in different places and spaces, particularly if we spend that money here in the United States, we can see the returns on our investment. We're talking about $65.5 million that are currently being invested in the state of Israel. That's $65.5 million that we could reinvest here in the state of Maryland. So to conclude, this is a matter of fiscal and moral responsibility. Maryland should not be using its public pension funds to invest in bad investments. The bill is narrowly tailored. It does not require divestment from all companies doing business with the state of Israel. It is focused specifically on direct investments with the government itself. sovereign debt, government-backed securities, and Israeli bonds. The focus follows an established precedent. The bill protects our fiduciaries, and if you have a question, we can dig into that. And it's not a radical idea. Many of you understand that our citizens, our residents, are coming along on these issues. Every day we wake up and we are confronted with images from across the world on our phones, on our social media, and nobody knows better than this committee that where you put your money is a statement of your priorities. And I just ask that you all take the consideration of where we are going to put our money. What signal and messages will we send to our residents? Where will Maryland invest? And where will we therefore put our priority? I thank you all for listening, and I urge favorable report.
Thank you very much, Delegate Young. Starting from my left, your right, and then we'll go down the row if everyone introduces themselves. Remember, 1 minute, as the chair said. Make sure you're in the mic.
Okay, that's me.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Evie Frankel. I'm on the steering committee of the Maryland Break the Bond campaign, and I'm the daughter of Holocaust refugees. Today, I'm reading a section of the testimony of Brendan Smith, the president of AFSCME Local 3399, representing city employees in Tacoma Park, and an organizational endorser of our campaign. This is his statement. Our union's executive board unanimously approved a resolution calling for the divestment of more than $65 million in Israeli government bonds from the Maryland state retirement and pension system. Union members across Maryland are required to pay into the state pension system, and we don't want our wages to support the genocide and apartheid against innocent Palestinian civilians living in Gaza and the West Bank. The Maryland Pension System's own investment policy manual recognizes the importance of human rights, and the current investment in Israeli bonds violates its own policy. Please return a favorable report. Thank you.
Hello, I am Shelley Cohen Fudge. I'm here as a representative of Maryland's Jewish Voice for Peace, Baltimore and DC Metro chapters. We strongly support HB 1455, which, if passed, would compel our state's pension system to divest from its Israeli investments. These bonds are unconditional loans to the Israeli government that are being funneled into the coffers of a country continuing to bomb, starve, and ethnically cleanse Gaza's innocent children and its many non-combatants, as well as the illegal Israeli settlements that are multiplying throughout the West Bank. Israeli bonds are also very risky investments as Israel's economy strains under the weight of its violent multi-year campaign. The top 3 major credit rating agencies have downgraded Israel's credit rating at least 2 steps. Okay.
Thank you. Next.
Vice Chair Kaiser, members of the committee, Zainab Chaudhry, Director of CARE's Office in Maryland. The Council on American Islamic Relations is the nation's largest Muslim civil rights and advocacy organization. We are here today to testify in strong favor of House Bill 1455. We want to thank Delegate Young for his principled leadership on this issue. Maryland is very behind when it comes to this issue, and we welcome this opportunity to raise this to your attention. At its core, this bill asks a very simple but profound question. Should Maryland's public funds be invested in entities tied to ongoing human rights abuses? Today, from each and every single one of you, the answer should be an absolute resounding no. Credible international bodies, including the United Nations, Amnesty International, and Human Rights Watch, and Israeli organizations, including B'Tselem, have documented Israel's ongoing, almost 3-year-long genocide and severe violations in Gaza and beyond. Yet Maryland's pension system remains connected to these investments, shamefully. House Bill 1455 offers a responsible path forward. It is narrowly tailored, protects fiduciary duties, and ensures that any divestment occurs prudently and at fair market value. Maryland has taken similar stands before. You have my full testimony before you, and I hear the ringing. I will stop there, but I will just urge you, you have the opportunity to stand on the right side of history. Do not wait until it's comfortable. Do it now when it's the right time to do so.
All right, thank you. Please tamp down the applause for the public hearing. Thank you so much.
My name is Miriam Rutenberg, testifying on behalf of the Montgomery County Jewish Collective in support of this bill. MCJC is a group of Jewish identifying Marylanders committed to collective liberation. The idea that our safety and well-being are tied to that of all people. We came together in response to the violence in Gaza with the shared belief that our local Jewish community must recognize the humanity and dignity of Palestinians. And our members include parents, educators, and public employees who care deeply about Jewish safety and human rights. Maryland should not invest public pension funds in systems that contribute to violence, displacement, and human rights violations. These investments are not made in our name, and they do not make us safer. Jewish safety is rooted in justice and dignity for all people. MCJC urges a favorable report on HB 1455. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We do have some questions. We'll start. Delegate Acevedo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Delegate Young, for bringing the bill. Thank you to the panel for your testimony. And it was quite brief, but wanted to just come back to the representative from Jewish Voices for Peace. You had mentioned in your testimony that the bonds and investment in the Israeli economy is volatile, but you weren't able to finish your sentence. Can you explain why you believe that those investments are volatile and not, as you put it, the best investments to be making outside of, the human rights record?
I'll be glad to do that. The top 3 major credit unions, credit rating agencies, I should say, have downgraded Israel's credit rating at least 2 steps since October 7th, 2003. Multiple economists warn that the status quo is unsustainable, and those credit agencies are saying that they made these decisions based on the fact that Israel has a very unstable economy right now due to all the additional spending that they are investing in their assaults, actually, on other countries, particularly, of course, now, Lebanon and Iran.
Thank you. And a follow-up, just one quick. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, appreciate it. And good to see the representative from Montgomery County Jewish Collective. Appreciate your testimony. I know you mentioned you as well as the representative from CARE that there's precedent that we've taken similar action against states that have violated international law and human rights. Just point of personal privilege, my first year in this General Assembly, I introduced a bill to divest from Myanmar or Burma for their human rights violations. And I don't recall anyone, coming to the testimony and saying, well, you're anti-Buddhist for essentially targeting a government that was engaged in human rights violations. And so can anyone on the panel sort of expand on what other actions we've taken against state? Because this is clearly not new, and I'm certainly not new to the General Assembly. And we did, in fact, divest, for the record, we did, in fact, divest from Myanmar and those investment portfolios. So what other examples are there where we've taken actions against really rogue states?
The examples that I listed in my opening testimony were first South Africa in 1984, in 2007, Sudan in response to the genocide in Darfur, in 2008, Iran, as a consequence of their human rights abuses and their nuclear program. And then lastly was in 2021, I'm getting that year wrong. 22. In response to Russia's invasion of the Ukraine. So we specifically, in each of those instances, passed legislation that directed the divestment. And so what we're doing here today is a similar situation where we see, again, this is a response to government action. I want to be very clear, this is not a response to Jewish people or the Jewish religion. This is specifically pertaining to the government of the country, which is called Israel, and led by Netanyahu. We're responding to that leadership and those actions, and just in alignment with the historical precedent that Maryland has in foreign policy, we just want to be responsive in the same way.
Gotcha. And so as I understand it, Delegate, we are being consistent with previous actions that we've taken against other states, other countries who have engaged in human rights violations or apartheid. or violations of international humanitarian law. You said Sudan, South Africa, and I'll include my bill in there from 2019 that divested, again, from Myanmar and Burma because of what the government was doing to the Rohingyas. And so what you're saying is that there is precedent, and so this is not new, this is not different, this is about holding essentially an apartheid government accountable, correct?
Yeah, and just to layer one more piece on it very quickly is to say that Maryland has a very long history of foreign policy. There's a consistent conversation that's been in the last few years about we should let foreign policy happen in D.C. I remind us that Maryland created a country, the Republic of Maryland in West Africa, that is now Maryland County of Liberia. We have, for a long time, been the state, if any state in the United States, that has engaged in foreign policy in a proactive way and led. And Maryland is always best when it's leading.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair.
Oh, sorry, Delegate McCaskill.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Thank you to my colleague who just asked the question because you actually asked one of the questions I was thinking. Thank you to the panel for being here and to any of you who are sitting here. How do we respond to folks who may be listening or are here in this room who thinks that this piece of legislation may be anti-Semitic or anti-Israel?
Yeah, I would.
No, that's for you, Mary.
Sure, if you want to go first, go ahead.
The best one to take it.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Anti-Semitism is discrimination or hatred against Jews because we're Jewish, and it's something that long predates the state of Israel. It includes stereotypes, scapegoating, and violence. But what supporting human rights and dignity of Palestinians is not anti-Semitic. And asking that Maryland not implicitly support the destruction of Palestinian homes is not anti-Semitic. And the belief that Jewish safety should not come at the expense of Palestinian safety is not anti-Semitic. And conflating opposition to the policies of the state of Israel with anti-Semitism doesn't protect Jews. It just shuts down legitimate conversations about justice and safety for everyone.
Thank you.
Do you have a follow-up question again?
Can I add to that?
Typically, just one person answering a question. Delegate McCaskill, did you have a follow-up?
No, if they feel free to, you can follow up through offline or in an email. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the
Madam Vice
question. It's
Chair.
an important question.
All right, thank you. Anybody, any other questions on this panel? Thank you all for coming in today. Thank you, Delegate Young.
Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate your all engagement in the process. I'm going to call the next four people, Shub Agnahotri, Margaret Vitullo, Jonathan Rochkind, and Vincent Tola. And please be patient, there's 41 of you, so four at a time. Whoever gets there first can start. Please introduce yourself and get started. Go ahead.
Want me to start? Sure. My name is Jonathan Rockhind. I've lived in Baltimore City for 20 years. I've been Jewish my whole life. There is growing Jewish horror at the actions of the Israeli government. Israel's war crimes do not make Jews here or anywhere else safe. Despite being Jewish, I don't have any control over Israel. I'm here in America, where in theory my democratic voice counts. Where we have control over is to stop giving unrestricted loans to Israel to buy weapons. That's what an Israeli bond that the retirement fund's investing in is. The state of Maryland has divested its retirement funds from other human rights violating countries before. We're treating Israel different by not doing it, and that doesn't make anti-Semitism better. There are people who think Jews control the USA or the Democratic Party. It's not true. But what does it look like when we refuse to hold Israel accountable like we have so many other countries? That's what's making us all unsafe, Jews and other people. Stop investing our state's retirement funds in weapons used to violate human rights and commit war crimes. Pass HB 1455, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good afternoon, honorable delegates. For me, this topic is both personal and...
Ma'am, what's your name?
I'm sorry. I'm Margaret Vitullo. I live in Montgomery County.
Thank you. Go ahead.
For me, this topic is both personal and complex. My dad was an 8-year-old Jewish kid who fled from Hamburg, Germany just after Kristallnacht. My grandmother put her 2 young sons on a train in Hamburg, carrying nothing but knapsacks and a code word that would be sent back to her if they arrived safely at their destination. When Magda Trogmé was asked how she made the decision to hide Jewish refugees on her family's farm, she replied that after a lifetime of always trying to do the next right thing, it was just the next right thing to do. And now, through my husband, Rick, I have beloved Palestinian family members. My brother-in-law was held in an Israeli jail for 3 years for the crime of being a journalist. Israel has dropped the equivalent of 7 atomic bombs of munitions on Gaza.
Ms. Vitullo, if you could just wrap up your last sentence, please. Thank you.
Honorable delegates, it is time to do the next right thing. Please support HB 1455.
Thank you. Next, either gentleman on the end.
Good afternoon. My name is Vince Tola. I am an English language development teacher in Baltimore City, and I'm a 15-year member of the BTU, the Baltimore Teachers Union. I'm a resident of Highlandtown in Baltimore City, District 46. I will be a beneficiary of the Maryland State Retirement and Pension System, and I can see that I don't support some of their investments. I support HB 1455 so that the system will divest from Israeli sovereign bonds. I don't think I would describe myself necessarily as a Palestinian rights activist. On October 7, 2023, I said that Israel has a right to defend itself from attack. I oppose anti-Semitism, and I abhor any violence against any group. I paid attention as the Netanyahu government started to attack hospitals, schools, refugee camps, as they targeted journalists, doctors, nurses, and aid workers, as they cut off food, water, and aid to a starving, decimated civilian population. I'm not going to forget the name of Dr. Abu Safia, the Palestinian doctor who was taken by the IDF over a year and a half ago and tortured. For what? I'll wrap up by saying that Bibi Netanyahu is a war criminal. We need to say it. We need to treat him as such. I salute my Jewish brothers and sisters who are leading this effort and who are risking much to advance peace and human rights. I thank the committee for this opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Gentleman at the end, thank you.
Members of the House Appropriations Committee, my name is Shub Agnihotri, and I'm an undergraduate student at the University of Maryland College Park. More than 70,000 Palestinians have been killed by Israel with constant support from the United States. At every level of government, we witness the protection of the state of Israel. Municipal leaders who claim they have no stake in the quote-unquote conflict. State leaders who establish working groups to think about action. State leaders who tout out investments in defense contractor companies who profit directly from the slaughter of innocent lives and who attempt to erase pro-Palestinian books from library shelves. We have an opportunity to lead our region as a moral compass. Just recently in 2024, Maryland elected officials celebrated the 40th anniversary of the state of Maryland divesting from South African apartheid. In 40 years, will leaders be able to look back at us and say that we did the right thing? Will we make the quote-unquote difficult decision now, or delay it for another set of leaders to take charge and finish the job? We have a chance now with this bill. I urge a favorable committee report on HB 1455.
Thank you so much. Questions, Delegate Acevedo.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Thank you to this panel. To the young lady on the panel, you'd mentioned in your testimony for, you had to stop there, but you had mentioned that Israel's government had dropped the equivalent of 4 atomic bombs on—
7.
7. Okay. Who funds those bombs? Who provides those military assistance so that they're then able to use those weapons to commit a genocide? Who provides those weapons, do you know?
The United States of America.
Okay. And is there a law in the United States that essentially requires the U.S. government to ensure that they're following human rights in order to provide military assistance to include weapons, bombs, et cetera, to any state that essentially contradicts our laws?
Yes, that is correct.
Do you know what law that is?
I do not. I'm sure others.
The Leahy law. Okay, thank
You'll
you.
all have a chance later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair.
You got it, Delegate. Any other questions for this panel? Thank you all for coming in today. Appreciate you joining us and sharing your opinions. Let me call the next group of 4: Alize Jalisi, Mike Reeves, Syed Jamal, and Rebecca Riley. Whoever sits down first, you can get started right away, and then we can keep the trains moving. Thank you.
Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Elise Jalisi, and I'm an employee with the state of Maryland. I'm here with a group of state employees to advocate in support of House Bill 1455. Frankly, I find it unconscionable that my pension system has invested millions of taxpayer dollars in loans to a state that is systematically displacing, starving, and bombing Palestinians in violation of international humanitarian law. Recently, I hosted a family from Gaza that was here to seek medical treatment. They told me about their home being raided by Israeli soldiers. They were forced to take off all of their clothes and their jewelry at gunpoint and walk miles towards a, quote, humanitarian zone, only to find themselves in a tent with bombing overhead, going days without food, clean water, or medical care. Their story is not unique. I want my tax dollars to be invested in the needs, dreams, and livelihoods of Marylanders, not war crimes. I respectfully urge the committee to vote in favor of House Bill 1455. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next.
Sure, I can go. Respected Vice Chair Kaiser, my name is Syed Jamal from District 44B. Just a few days ago in West Bank, Palestine, 37-year-old Ali Khalid, his wife Wad, and their two children, ages 7 and 10, were returning home after shopping for Eid. They were a few minutes from home when they were shot and killed by Israeli forces. These type of atrocities are funded by American taxpayer dollars, both directly and indirectly. One such method is investment in Israeli bonds. Recently, foundations in Norway and Denmark divested from Israeli investments due to human rights concerns, coinciding with increased Israeli military actions in Gaza. On November 4th, voters in Massachusetts cities like Somerville and Portland approved measures calling for similar divestment. In contrast, Maryland is headed in the opposite direction. The Maryland State Retirement and Pension Systems, MSRPS, holds more than $65 million in these bonds as of December 2025, despite recent credit downgrades and a growing divestment push. This bill, HB 1455, requires MSRPS to identify and sell certain investments tied to the Israeli government and also prevents MSRPS from further investments in Israeli government bonds. For these reasons, I'm asking this committee for a favorable support. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jamal. Next.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Rebecca Riley. I'm also a state worker at the University of Maryland. I'm here with other state workers, teachers, and union members who all pay into the pension. These are our money, and this is our retirement fund that we're talking about. It makes me sick thinking of what my money is doing, and that there very well may be a bullet bought with my check that has executed a child in Gaza. The way this money is being used will turn current and future pensioners and workers away from the investment fund, which will hurt the overall fund. Beyond the debilitating ethical implications, there is also the financial risk. The Israel bonds have been downgraded either AAA, B, or negative outcomes. Violence on this scale is not a sound investment, and to be clear, our retirement is at risk. It is the primary responsibility of the board to protect and grow the pension fund on behalf of Maryland state retirees. We are asking for the morally and financially responsible choice, a favorable report, divestment now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Riley. Perfect timing as well. Mr. Reeves?
Hi, I'm Mike Reeves of Baltimore. As a teacher, I'm horrified that some of my contribution to our pension is invested in Israeli bonds, supporting a state which kills many innocent people. Recall that we are observing the 250th anniversary of the founding of our country. Our Declaration of Independence describes God-given rights that belong not just to Americans, but to all people, Palestinians and Iranians included. Here in Annapolis, Washington resigned his commission. In his farewell address, he warned, quote, "A passionate attachment of one nation for another produces a variety of evils. Sympathy for the favored nation, facilitating the illusion of an imaginary common interest in cases where no real common interest exists, betrays the former into a participation in the quarrels and wars of the latter,"
Thank you,
unquote.
Mr. Reeves.
Let us heed these wise words. Thank you.
Appreciate you all very much. Are there any questions from committee members? Delegate Acevedo.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. I have a question for the University of Maryland employees. Last year, University of Maryland settled a lawsuit that was brought against them for essentially infringing on the free speech rights of students on campus who were just
I believe that the student group was able to hold their rally, and that the university administration basically settled that way.
So it's validating fringe students' free speech, be able to gather, protest not just their government, but a foreign government, and they won.
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Any other questions for this panel? If not, thank you all for coming in today. Appreciate your involvement in the process. I'm going to call the next 4 names. And again, 12 down, 29 to go. So patience is the buzzword for today. The next I have is John Manfred, Ann Wilcox, Abigail Koch, and Catherine Kretler. You can start. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Abby Koch, and I'm here today as a representative from the Baltimore chapter of Jewish Voice for Peace. When I call for divestment, I stand with Palestine and our partners across Maryland, but I also stand with the best of Israeli society. I'd like to share a few lines from a letter signed by over 4,000 Israeli citizens, including many prominent and respected figures, rabbis, and even a former attorney general of the state, in which they call on the international community to, and I quote, implement every possible sanction for the future of both peoples in Israel and Palestine and the peoples of the region and for their rights to security and life. They write, the state of Israel is on a suicidal path and sows destruction and devastation that increases day by day. The letter concludes, please, for our futures and the futures of all of the residents of Israel and the region, save us from ourselves and use real pressure on Israel. I urge a favorable report on House Bill 1455. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And the lady to your left, my right. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair Kaiser. My name is Katie Kretler, and I'm a resident of Arnold. We have been seeing live streamed the bombing and burning alive of people living in tents, the killing and maiming of children, the execution of journalists, doctors, and nurses, and more. Because of our own government's funding of and providing arms for the atrocities being committed in Gaza and the West Bank, and now Lebanon and elsewhere, U.S. citizens have a special duty to stop these atrocities. We are in fact complicit in the horror that Palestinians are living and dying in when we are giving or loaning money to the Israeli government. We do not have the choice to turn away from that horror or to refuse to speak to one another about it. And we must act to eliminate the ways that we are contributing to the horror. As Marylanders, the first thing we must do is to stop using our retirement fund to support violence and oppression. I want to be able to live with myself and how I acted in the face of all this horrific violence. You do too. You can take action now, today, by giving a favorable report for HB 1455.
Thank you. Next.
Go ahead. I'm going to go last.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Ann Wilcox. I live in Silver Spring, although a refugee from D.C. I'm representing United Methodists for Action in Palestine, a group of faith leaders. As we've heard, Israel engages in genocide in Gaza and land confiscation and oppressive occupation in the West Bank. They've also emboldened violent settlers to engage in attacks on civilians. At least 9 U.S. citizens have been killed in recent years by violent settlers, and our own Senator Van Hollen has taken a special interest. Our U.S. government has provided almost no support for these families, including U.S. citizens who have been imprisoned. However, as people of faith approaching Holy Week, we're also saddened to see Israel impeding the access of church leaders and worshipers to holy sites. Last spring, I was in Jerusalem, and many West Bank residents were prevented from going to churches in Jerusalem, which they should have a right to do, and church leaders, including the Pope's own representative, were prevented from attending important events. So this type of oppression, not only of the residents, but of visitors and church leaders, is reprehensible, really, and we urge you to take the same actions that were taken with divestment from apartheid South Africa and divesting our public funds from these bonds. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name's John Monfred. When I heard there was but 60 seconds to testify, I thought, but I'm Jewish, I have so many opinions. Since I don't have time to get through all of my own, I testify instead on behalf of Jeremy Levenger. He is a proud Jewish American educator working for Baltimore City Public Schools, a member of Baltimore Teachers Union, and he could not be here to testify today because he is chaperoning a field trip to the Holocaust Museum. Jeremy urges the committee to divest his retirement and pension funds from funding internationally recognized war crimes committed by Israel, which amount to nothing short of genocide and ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people. He shares feeling disgusted and betrayed when he discovered that his retirement and pension funds were being invested into Israel bonds. Because I am short on time, let me just say, it is not anti-Semitic. This bill is not radical. It is rational.
Thank you so much. We do have a question. Delegate Acevedo.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. I'll wait for the mic to come on. Yes. Okay. Hi. Thank you very much, Madam Vice Chair, and to this panel. Want to ask a question to the young lady on the furthest left, right, depending on where you are. I'm an AME Christian, African Methodist Episcopal, and the AME Church took a position on not just Israel's government, but their actions, calling for divestment, calling for sanctions. And few people are aware that Palestine has some of the oldest Christian churches in the world. And oftentimes when we talk about Palestine and Palestinians, there's this attempt to put them in this, well, they're Muslims. Can you speak a little bit more as a Christian, about not just Palestinians, not just Christianity, but those who would try to hijack our faith to justify what Israel's apartheid government is doing?
Right. There's been a lot of pressure on the Christian community. I think Israel would like to pressure the Christians to emigrate, which many have over the years. Thousands have left the country, to portray it as a Muslim Jewish problem. And there's a significant Christian population and has been over time. They also oversee and take care of a lot of the important churches and historic sites, so they have real responsibilities. And then you've got church leaders such as Orthodox, Greek Orthodox, Catholic, Protestant churches such as mine, and they have congregations to lead. They also welcome visitors from around the country, not only sort of right-wing Zionists, Christians that support Israel, but Christians of all types. So it's very important that churches recognize the importance of their congregations in the region and support them.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Any other questions for this panel? If not, thank you all for coming in today. Appreciate it. All right, let me call the next four people. Again, patients. We have William Dorian, Jamal Nahab, Avery Misterka, and Elizabeth Lazama. And I apologize if I've gotten names pronounced wrong. Please let us know your name when you come up. And I called four people. I think I only see three coming up, so I'll keep track. Whoever's sitting first on my left, please start.
Yeah. Hello, members of the committee. My name is William Dorian. I'm a resident of Kensington in District 18. I'm here today as someone who wants to work in state government to give back to the communities who have given me so much. Last summer, I was a Maryland Public Service Scholar in the Department of Transportation, and I would love to continue down this path of public service, but the idea that my retirement security would be tied with mass death and ethnic cleansing makes me furious and also makes me reconsider that decision. The Israeli-American assault on Palestinian and Lebanese life has directly affected many people close to me. I remember in my freshman year seeing my favorite professor at the point of a breakdown after class. She later told me specifically that the reason she was so distressed was she had lost contact with her family in Gaza, and she no longer knew if they were alive. One of my high school friends from Montgomery County Public Schools has had their family in southern Lebanon forcefully displaced again as Israel faces no consequences for its violations of international law. I urge you to have a favorable report on HB 1455 and reinvest to support life rather than death. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jamal Najab. My family comes from a small village called Gibi in the middle of what is now known as the West Bank. I inherited my father's house and several acres of land there. The land I own is gone. Today, an illegal Israeli settlement sits atop it. There are, in fact, 3 illegal settlements sitting on Gibeah's land. All that is left of the village is the houses. All the farmland and the olive trees have been dug up. Many of those trees have been there since Christ walked the earth. I now live in fear that the Israeli settlers will one day occupy my house, which is very likely. These unconditional loans to the Israeli Treasury that we are here to talk about today provide financial support for the Israeli settlers to continue to do what they are doing to my father's village and villages and towns all over the West Bank. Without any oversight by the state of Maryland, the Israeli government is free to expand these settlements. I urge you to support Bill 1455.
All right, thank you. Next.
Thank you. My name is Avery Masturka. I'm a resident of Towson and a student organizer at Towson University. At our university, we pushed for divestment, and it passed with about 93% of the vote. So you see the amount of support that measures like this have among students. But we saw in trying to do that in the midst of fundraising for our Palestinian friends and families who were trapped in the midst of a genocide, is we saw the backlash that state authorities, universities that are public were willing to admit, to the degree we had an ACLU case filed against the school for repressing free speech rights in students. And I want to tie that to domestic context, because a lot of people here probably want to pride themselves on the issues of affordability and standing up to Trump and the regime and ICE that we see right now. But these struggles are inherently interconnected. The first wave of repression when Trump came in was against people like Ramallah Ozturk and people like Mahmoud Khalil, which were fighters in the pro-Palestinian movement. And this serves as an opportunity today to tell those people they are heard. It's a repudiation of that repression. And so I want to say words of a lovely elder outside, which said, "We are going to win, whether it's on this bill or not." And I believe that dearly, and I believe these representatives here today should believe that dearly. So please vote strongly in affirmative.
Thank you. And the last person on this panel, thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Liz Lozama, a District 16 resident with 12 years of human rights and migration experience at the United Nations. As the daughter of Latino immigrants, I know state-sponsored violence drives migration. My career and personal life have shown me the resemblance between oppressive systems in Palestine and those I've witnessed in Maryland, though the scale of Palestinian suffering is incomparable. My father was detained through local ICE cooperation and missed the birth of my son, a lost moment no policy change can undo. Many of you here today showed courage in ending 287G to stop tearing families apart. I ask you today for that same moral consistency towards Palestinian lives. By funding ethnic cleansing and illegal settlements abroad, Maryland is subsidizing the very violence we oppose at home. I urge a favorable vote on HB 1455.
Thank you so much. Colleagues, any questions for this panel? Seeing none, thank you all very much. Thank you for coming in today and your advocacy. I will call up the next group of four, Stephen Lapham, Felix Angelastro, Mary Leonard, Grace Smith. Right. Again, Steve Lapham, Felix Angelastro, Mary Leonard, Grace Smith. Go ahead. I see three of you. Get started.
All right. It's actually Angelastro.
Thank you.
My name is Felix Angelastro. I'm representing Students for Justice in Palestine and Towson University's YDSA. Our investment into arms is not victimless. Every one of our $65 million to Israel is a school bombed, a martyr made, and an apartheid fed. Students have been fighting for years and have been centered and repressed for honoring their responsibility to envision a better future for the world. The senseless genocide, imperial pursuits entangles us into a war that is not only killing our neighbors around the world that we share faith, culture, and heart with, but the planet as well. These bonds bear no financial benefit and spin the face of a humanitarian precedence. Every lie has worn thin. This decision demands a principled response. We are weaving ourselves into history with every single one of these actions, and we demand you act accordingly and act in favor of us and in favor of HB 1455. Thank you.
And thank you. Sorry I mispronounced your name. Next, the woman to my right, your left. Thank you.
My name is Mary Leonard, and I vote in District 20. I come to testify as a Quaker and as a grandmother. My daughter married a Palestinian, and we have 3 granddaughters under the age of 11. My son-in-law's grandparents were run out of their homes in the 1948 war. The Arabs refer to it as the Nakba, which is the catastrophe. They fled with their lives and the clothes on their back. They could have gone to Gaza, but they went to Jordan. So to go from that war to this current war in Gaza, very few people know that 30 to 40% of the people killed or maimed are children. I can't imagine the kind of pain and fear they have gone through. I can't imagine what their parents must feel that they cannot protect them. You know, it's bad enough that our government is funding bombs for Israel, but my own pension is funding. Please divest. They have blood on their hands.
Thank you, Ms. Leonard. Next.
My name is Grace Smith. I'm a public school teacher in Maryland, and I also pay 7% of every single paycheck into the MSRPS, which everyone has talked about what that's been used. I want to add that that destruction has particularly hit the Palestinian education system. 97% of the schools in Gaza have been destroyed, according to UNICEF, and many of them with children, students, teachers, school workers inside of them. I am a teacher. Those could be my students, and that could be me. Please support HB 1455.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. Are there any questions? I was just taking note and giving one more chance to Mr. Stephen Lapham from Charm Maryland, Inc. All right. Are there any questions for this group? Thank you all again. Thank you for coming in and sharing your stories.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to the next group of four. We have Reem Azam, Sable Stewart, Hina Zuberi, and Mohammed Abukdir. I'm seeing 5 people. I just called 4. So come on up. And please get started. The woman right in front of me. Go ahead. Oh, sorry. There we go. The mic's on now.
Okay, great. Chair, members of the Assembly, I'm Hana Zuberi. I'm the Director of Advocacy for Justice for All, a human rights organization, and I'm a resident of Howard County. And I'm here today in strong support of HB 1455. We were here when this assembly divested from Burma after their military committed the Rohingya genocide. And we're here again, asking you to reinvest this $65 million currently in Israeli bonds into our public school systems, where my kids go to school, where our children are learning in underfunded classrooms. Expand affordable housing so families are not forced to choose between rent and food. Into healthcare, into jobs, clean energy, infrastructure that actually sustains life instead of taking it. HB 1455 gives us the opportunity to say, Maryland does not profit from violence. Maryland will invest in life. Thank you.
Thank you. And moving to your left, my right, go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Reem Azam, and I'm with the Howard County Muslim Alliance. Today, I bring you one story of what Maryland has been investing in. An Israeli soldier in Gaza said the following about his commander, and I quote, "We went out with him on the first patrol at 6 in the morning. He stops. There's not a soul in the streets, just a little 4-year-old boy playing in the sand in his yard. The commander suddenly starts running, grabs the boy, and breaks his arm at the elbow and his leg here. Stepped on his stomach 3 times and left." End quote. When questioned, the commander said, "These kids need to be killed from the day they are born." This is not an isolated incident. This has been the playbook since 1948. Investing in a racist, genocidal project neither aligns with our values nor positively contributes to our state. You choose humanity or you choose genocide. Passing this bill is the bare minimum. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good afternoon. My name is Sable Stewart. I am a Jewish resident of Baltimore City and a member of Baltimore JVP. I'm speaking today in favor of HB 1455. I was born in and grew up in the Jewish community of Northwest Baltimore. I am the grandchild of a Jewish partisan and an Auschwitz survivor. I want to speak to the false idea that divestment from or opposition to the State of Israel is inherently anti-Semitic. The concept of political Zionism as a drive towards a nation state is a recent one. Judaism is ancient. Many of the OG dissenters to Jewish political Zionism, both at its inception in the late 1800s and the nation state itself after 48, were Jews, both in the diaspora and in Palestine itself. What is anti-Semitic is the conflation of the State of Israel with Judaism and all Jews. Refusing to hold Israel accountable because it is a Jewish state fuels anti-Semitism. The golden calves of Zionism and nationalism are inimical to my Jewish values, which are summed up in the phrase, tzedek, tzedek tirdof, justice, justice you shall pursue. Divest. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Thank you, Chair Barnes and members of the House Appropriations Committee for the opportunity to testify in strong support of House Bill 1455. My name is Mohammed. I'm a Howard County resident, and I'm speaking today on behalf of the USM Coalition, a coalition of students across the state of Maryland calling for academic boycott and divestment of the $2 billion USMF endowment from the state of Israel. But today we demand divestment on another front, the Maryland State Pension System, which invests $65.5 million into Israeli bonds. Francesca Albanese, the UN Special Rapporteur on Palestine, published a report last October calling the Gaza genocide a collective crime, meaning it is sustained by third states like the U.S., which not only supply arms to Israel, but that continue to engage in economic relations with Israel like the state of Maryland does. Therefore, it's not just a moral obligation, but a legal one under international law for us to apply pressure using all means available to us to end the suffering of Palestinians at the hands of Israel. Marylanders deserve better than to have our taxes and our pension fund weaponized against millions of Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza, including my family, including the families of thousands of Palestinian Americans who call Maryland home, especially at a time where the majority of Americans support Palestine over Israel. When our involvement with Israel is dragging us into an illegal war with Iran, where unprecedented numbers of Palestinians, Lebanese, and Iranians are being killed, it's important for us to pass this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Delegate Acevedo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Question for the representative from Human Rights, the Human Rights Organization. You mentioned the actions of this government. Is there any international ruling or precedent that found that or plausible genocide taking place in Gaza by Israel's government?
Definitely. The United Nations has called this a genocide. There are several Israeli human rights organizations that have called this a genocide. This action, what happened in Gaza, meets every clause of the International Geneva Convention on Genocide. So for us to be here and be speaking about this and to be supporting this with $65 million of our teachers, as you heard, is abominable. I work in genocide. I'm a genocide researcher. I've been doing this for over a decade. We see the same patterns that were happening in Burma, in Rwanda, in the Chinese camps against the Uyghurs are taking place in Gaza. And it's one of the most broadcasted genocides in the world. It's on our social media screens, and for us to turn our eyes away and deny it is absolutely reprehensible and, yes, against international law. I just was at the International Court of Justice. There is a court case that the South African government has brought against the state of Israel, and the hearings have been held, and this is and a lot of these laws pertain to this.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate you also, as I guess an honorable mention, the fact that my bill from 2019 calling for divestment from Myanmar and Burma, we did in fact do that. The bill didn't pass, but we did in fact take that action where we have divested from companies, portfolios, et cetera, that is involved with the Myanmar or Burmese government and the genocide that they're committing against Uyghurs. So thank you for that. One more follow-up question, Madam Vice Chair, to the other panelists on this panel. I'm sorry. You'd mentioned about your faith, Judaism, and the conflation between Judaism and Zionism. One, can you provide a working I guess for the benefit, edification of this committee, the difference between Judaism, really a ancient and one of the great religions of the world, and Zionism, the difference between the two. You kept mentioning in your testimony, so I wanted to make sure we're clear on that.
So that's a large question. Zionism, especially if you're looking at Zionism across history, has taken many forms. And there were original Zionists who spoke very deeply about a connection to a land, but not a connection to ownership of land or connection to a nation state. Zionism, as it currently is widely practiced and as that word is used, is really about Jewish control over the land. There is a lot in Judaism that speaks of a yearning for what is called Eretz Yisrael, which is the literal land of Israel. And that has nothing to say about ownership. That has nothing to say about control. That has nothing to say about displacement or genocide.
And who was the founder of this? It sounds like a political ideology, correct?
Yes, it's a political ideology.
And who's the founder of this?
Theodor Herzl. He was...
Was he Jewish, or
yes,
was
he was Jewish.
An atheist?
Well, okay, we're also getting into what makes a Jew, which is another very long discussion that a lot of Jews have all the time. He was not religious, no. He was not religious.
Gotcha. All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, and I think he preceded the state of Israel by about 50 years.
Also that.
Any other questions? Thank you all very much. Thank you for coming in today. Going to take the last two favorable that signed up. Then we're going to switch to the unfavorable and then take the virtual online favorable people. So stay tuned for those. But for right now, just the last two favorables, Isabel Damaso and Mariella Jordak. And if everyone in the crowd, please, can keep it down while we allow these two people their opportunity to speak. Thank you. Go ahead.
I am Mariella Jordak of Annapolis, and I want to say hello to you delegates. I know this is a very long day, but I will ask you to please look around this room. Look at the diverse, dedicated group of Marylanders who have come to testify in favor of HB 1455. You can see by the people who are spending this day, and who have spent many other days before this, that this bill deeply matters to us. Our state funding violence matters to us. Our Palestinian and our Lebanese and all of our global neighbors, they matter to us. Look around this room and recall what has happened in the last 3 years in reflection of Palestine. Y'all have seen a sustained and ever-growing movement in the legislature and beyond of people who are disgusted that our state is playing multiple supportive roles to egregious violence. Look at this country and look at our elections and think on what a lack of action in the face of genocide has cost all of us. The tide is turning. It is past time to act, so we call on you to divest from oppression. Please find a favorable report for 1455.
Thank you. And Ms. Damaso?
Good afternoon. My name is Isabel. I'm a resident of Frederick County.
Can you bring the mic closer, please? Thank you.
Better? Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Isabel. I'm a resident of Frederick County, and I'm here as part of a group of state employees to advocate in support of HB 1455. We believe that our retirement savings should not be used to financially support a government credibly accused of committing apartheid and genocide. It is abhorrent that our mandatory contributions to the state retirement and pension system are being used as unconditional loans to the Israeli Treasury, loans that provide financial support for the continued forced displacement in Gaza and military operations in the occupied West Bank. Maryland should join the growing number of states and municipalities across the country that have divested from Israeli bonds. We ask that you have a favorable report on this bill. Thank you.
Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Colleagues, any questions for this last in-person favorable panel? Thank you both for coming in today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move to unfavorable. We have two people signed up. We have Jay Bernstein and Bruce Bariano. All right, 1 minute.
You can go first.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. My name is Jay Bernstein. I am president of Ner Tamid Congregation in Baltimore, and I am a proud Zionist. In 2 weeks, Jewish families will recite at the Passover Seder, B'chol dor v'dor omdim aleinu l'chalotenu. In every generation, there are those who rise up to destroy the Jewish people. Today, the attempt to destroy the Jewish people is expressed by the worldwide effort to isolate, defame, delegitimize, and ultimately destroy Israel, which HB 1455 is part of. The goal of this bill is not to criticize or change the policies of Israel's government, but to break the bonds that have existed between the United States and Israel since 1948. For the Divest from Israel movement, Israel is a criminal, illegitimate enterprise. Just read the screed on the Maryland Break the Bonds website about Israel's violent occupation of stolen Palestinian land and total domination over Palestinians since 1948. These disgusting slanders are giveaways that HB 1455 is about the rejection of the very existence of Israel. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You can finish your sentence as many others have done. One sentence.
Thank you. These disgusting slanders are giveaways that HB 1455 is about the rejection of the very existence of Israel, spearheaded by organizations and individuals, some of which are here today, who reject Israel's right to exist and have often defended, justified, and praised the October 7 massacres. Please reject HB 1455.
More than one sentence. Thank you. Mr. Bariano.
Good afternoon, Madam Vice Chair.
In the audience, please, no outbursts. Thank you. Mr. Bariano, you can go next.
Good afternoon, Madam Vice Chair. For the record, Bruce Bariano. I'm here in my individual capacity in very strong opposition to this legislation. Bills targeting Israel specifically rather than universal standards of ethical investment constitute discriminating, targeting, and anti-Semitism. This bill singles out Israel and mandates economic disengagement without a broader, consistent standard. The proposed legislation also undermines very strong relationships that many coexisting relationships between Maryland and the state of Israel, discourages efforts for those working for peace and harming Maryland's own interests in global partnership. The trustees of the pension system have a legal duty to maximize financial returns for beneficiaries, and divesting and often profitable companies and international bonds could jeopardize the financial wealth of the pension fund. This bill is a shanda, an absolute shanda. And
thank you, Mr.
The Maryland legislature has far more important issues to deal with at the state of Israel than this piece of chazarai.
Thank you. We do have questions. Mr. Delegate Beecham, excuse me. Mr. and Delegate.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is to Bruce Bariano. Do you think that there will be investment losses as a result if this bill is to pass?
Absolutely. Absolutely. As I said a moment ago, there is a statutory obligation of those on the pension board to do what is financially in the best interest of return on investment and for the state of Maryland, for what is in statute. It's an obligation. A bill like this undermines that and undercuts that completely, and would be to the detriment economically and financially for the state of Maryland. And as this committee well knows, and the people around around the state, we are not in the best financial situation right now as the state of Maryland.
Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate Acevedo.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Question for this panel. It is the conclusion of human rights lawyers and genocide researchers that Israel's government committed genocide in Gaza. Do you agree with that?
Genocide is another slur against the state of Israel.
So yes or no
it's a way to defame the state of Israel. I absolutely do not.
Answer.
Let me please answer the question. I do not agree with that. And the fact that international bodies, many of whom have devoted hours and hours and years to defame Israel for the past 30 years, have reached that conclusion, does not sway me in my view. That's not to say that Israel is perfect, and I'm not here to argue that Israel is perfect. Like every other state in the world, Israel has its flaws. flaws, including arguably how we conducted the war in Gaza. But that is not an excuse. It should not justify the state of Maryland as an institution taking steps and singling out the state of Israel, not to divest from, not to change its policy, but in order to join an international effort to end the existence of the state. And that's what this is really all about.
Thank you. Do you have a follow-up, Delegate?
Yeah, well, my question wasn't whether Israel is a perfect state. It was whether Israel committed genocide, and it sounds like you're denying it, so I have my response.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right.
Yes, I deny that defamation.
And it says a lot about you.
Okay. Asked and
And
answered.
your question says a lot about you, sir.
Delegate, we don't cast aspersions, we ask questions. Thank you. Or we don't attack the witnesses. Are there any other questions, excuse me, as I'm continuing, are there any other questions for these two? Do you have other questions? Delegate?
I'd like to take a point of personal privilege. I'm not attacking the witness. I'm asking a very clear question, and I don't appreciate the word attacked being associated with me. It's a very clear question that I asked the witness. If he does not want to answer, he wants to play semantics, that's his choice, but clearly he responded. I'm asking a very fair question. It's clear he wanted to avoid it, and I'll leave it at that.
All right, well, I will just repeat, you did question his integrity. We will all listen to the tape afterwards. And so that's what is inappropriate, obviously. We often have witnesses that don't exactly answer our questions as we would like them to, but we don't attack their integrity. So we are going to move on to the unfavorables. Excuse me, the more favorables, virtual. And I will pass it along back to Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, we're bogged down in your own bill a little bit, so we're going to have to potentially stop this bill and come back after second session. We got to keep moving. We have a lot of work to do. We'll keep moving this bill for now, but if we keep getting bogged down on this bill, we're going to have to come back after special session and finish it up. Who's the next witness?
Virtual.
Okay, let's pull up the virtual witnesses. Glenn, welcome. You have 1 minute. Go ahead, sir. Your time has started. Your screen says Glenn, so I'm calling you Glenn. You have 1 minute. Okay, Glenn, you're down to about 30 seconds now, my friend.
Okay. As a retired science teacher of 30 years, I'm requesting that my Maryland state pension be divested from Israeli bonds, which are a risky investment since they support Israel's genocidal war on Gaza. My soul cannot bear the weight of knowing that my hard-earned pension is being used to support apartheid, illegal settlements, and the forced displacement of civilians. Therefore, I implore this committee to uphold our moral obligation to invest in a socially responsible cause, preferably right here in the community of Maryland. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being with us. Yes, ma'am, I don't have a, sorry, my eyes aren't as good as Ms. Ansari. You're up 1 minute.
Hello, thank you. Can you hear me?
You can, thank you.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Chair and delegates. My name is Musna Ansari. I'm here on behalf of the Howard County Muslim Alliance, a group dedicated to civically empowering Muslims in Howard County. I speak to you today. We have members in our group who are Maryland state workers and retirees, but I speak to you today on behalf of two, my parents, my mother, a lifelong teacher, and my father, who is a scientist with the police department. Both of these individuals, my parents, chose these careers to serve the common good. They wanted to serve their communities, their cities, the state. And they now are retired and rely on their pensions to meet their basic necessities. What we are doing as a state of Maryland by supporting Israeli bonds is the antithesis of common good. Israel has been committing atrocities against Palestinians for over 75 years. We now have confirmation from countless human rights agencies that what they are engaging in is a genocide. We have reports from Israeli soldiers themselves confirming.
Okay, thank you so much. We're doing 1 minute. Mr. O'Rear, welcome.
Thank you. My name is Grady O'Rear. I'm a citizen of Frederick, Maryland, and I'm representing Frederick for Justice in Palestine. And come in support of this bill and and urge a favorable report from the committee. Just earlier this week is another example, the atrocities Israeli officials, instead of declining to hold accountable soldiers accused of the brutal sexual torture of a Palestinian prisoner, they publicly celebrated them. Israeli Defense Minister Katz apologized to the accused soldiers for what he called the wrong done to them by the system, praised the decision to clear them, and ordered the return to service, while Prime Minister Netanyahu likewise applauded the closing of the case. What makes this especially chilling is that the outrage in Israel appears to have centered less on the crime itself than on the fact that someone exposed it. The gang rape said to have occurred.
Thank you, sir. That's a minute. Amir, welcome.
Good afternoon. I'm Ravi Walla, running for Howard County Council. I'm rising in very strong support of HB 1455. The settler colonial project, or Israel, has been in severe and long-standing violation of international law. And I strongly believe that most Maryland residents are deeply opposed to the horrific Zionist atrocities being committed in our beloved Gaza. Our state government has a responsibility to ensure that the way we invest public funds reflects the values and beliefs of the people we represent. If the people of Maryland believe the settler colonial project's actions are deeply criminal, that our government should not be investing our retirement dollars with the genocidal government. We should also be aligning our investments with widely recognized ESG principles so that our state can pursue economic gains with a clean conscience. The role of government is to steward public resources and direct them towards the priorities and initiatives we want to advance as a society. That is the entire point of representative government. Passing HB 1455 allows Marylanders to do what is right for our state and set an example for other pension funds across the country. By ensuring
Thank you,
our
sir.
investments
That's a
are-
minute. Thank you so much. Thanks for being with us. Thank you so much for your testimony. Yes, I can't see the name because of the teleprompter here, but the remaining individual on the screen, you're up.
Hi, my name is Caleb Chukoff. I live in Montgomery County, Maryland, and I'm a member of the Montgomery County Jewish Collective. I support HB 1455 because Maryland's pension investments should be both financially responsible and aligned with our values. Right now, tens of millions of dollars are invested in Israeli bonds, which carry increasing financial risk due to instability and recent credit downgrades. As a Jewish Marylander, I want to be clear that these investments do not represent all of us. Most of us reject the idea of violence and displacements and that are tied to our safety. Maryland has a history of divesting from governments engaged in human rights abuses, including the place that I was born in, Russia, and this burial will carry on that tradition. I urge a favorable vote on HB 1455. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your testimony. Caleb, now I can see your name. Any questions for any of the virtual witnesses? I think we have one more virtual witness. Let's pull them up.
Yeah, that's me. Does my time start now?
Yes.
An Islamic saying by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, states, "You should help your brother whether he's an oppressor or an oppressed one." When asked, "How do you help an oppressor?" he replied, "By preventing him from pressing others." You all in this room have a chance to do just that. When you press others, you also press yourselves. Us investing in Israel and war manufacturing companies used to genocide the Palestinian people and wreak havoc in surrounding countries is a crime. I personally know Maryland friends who have had almost all their lineage wiped out due to our financial support of this state of Israel. We need to be investing money in beneficial local businesses, initiatives, and most importantly, people in ways we can be loud and proud about. Israel in the holy month of Ramadan has blocked millions of Muslims from worshiping at Masjid al-Aqsa, a beloved holy site. They are able to do so with our support of weapons that we provide. My friend Ibrahim and his family in Gaza have not been allowed in Al-Aqsa their whole lives despite being so close. He prays for the day he gets to visit, and so do 2 billion Muslims around the world. We stand by our representatives who show not just through words but through meaningful action that if one of us is hurting, we are all hurting. For the rest of you who turn their back on morality, we are taking notes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being succinct. Any questions for this witness? I don't see any. I think we got all the witnesses. The vice chair thinks we got all the witnesses. Okay, appears that we did. Thank you all for being with us. Thanks for sharing your voice and advocacy. That concludes the bill hearing. Going to move on to 1458. Delegate Shetty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, wonderful colleagues and friends on the committee. May I ask the sponsor panel to join me? I have 4 people who I've asked to serve on my sponsor panel.
If you're on the sponsor panel, come on up.
If you're in here, please come in. They were just in my office. Yeah, sure. They're coming, they're in here.
Okay.
The 4 sponsor panelists,
Come on
let's
up.
sit. Okay, thank you. All right, I'm gonna go, thank you, Madam Vice Chair, you're amazing. Okay, thank you. Chair Barnes, Vice Chair Kaiser, esteemed members and friends on the House Appropriations Committee. For the record, my name is Emily Shetty. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to provide testimony in support of HB 1458, a bill that will provide a state-funded SNAP benefit to some of Maryland's most vulnerable residents. As you all heard in our very first briefing in the committee on H.R. 1, the Big Beautiful Bill Act, in July 2025, when that bill passed, it removed those with refugee, asylee, or other humanitarian parolee status from the eligibility criteria for SNAP. This is a population group who are legally here in Maryland, but are understandably finding their way towards stable employment, housing, and ways to meet other basic needs. At a time of rising food insecurity and reduced affordability, SNAP is one of the most crucial ways that we have supported this population. Other states are working towards legislation and budget allocations to ensure continued benefits for former recipients who are now being excluded solely due to their immigration status. New York State has a SNAP for All bill pending in their assembly. Virginia is considering an amendment to their budget providing $44 million to support this population. Washington State is the furthest along. They have already allocated $49 million in a supplemental budget to fill this gap. So as you all know, food security, insecurity has long been a priority of mine personally. This population is now estimated to be about 10,000 people. 10,000 people have been dumped from SNAP because of the passage of H.R. 1. They are now, excuse me, it's so loud, now being denied access since July. This number is extremely high. This is a huge number of people that are now reliant upon our food banks, stressing access to food in all of our communities. We have the opportunity here now to try to provide that support for Marylanders. I just want to take one quick moment. I recognize the date of the hearing and crossover being, right around the corner. I just want to point out that in the fiscal note, it shows that our general fund expenditures to support this very deserving population would increase up to $21.8 million annually beginning in this fiscal year if we were to pass this bill. We recognize the current budget situation. We're not pushing for passage of this bill as drafted in this year as a result. But the purpose of the bill is to, one, highlight the incredible need that we have across our state because of H.R. 1 that affects this community, and to, one, share some of the stories of those that are affected here today, but then also ask for the committee's blessing to continue to work on this issue over the interim. Thank you for your consideration, and I now yield to my sponsor panel.
Yeah, and you obviously have that blessing and more. You've been such a great champion on SNAP over the years, and this committee is no stranger to you expanding SNAP through bills over the course of the last 2 or 3 years, and so I hope everyone's aware of that. Thanks for your work.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair, and members of the Appropriations Committee. My name is Claudette Miranda Zambrano, and I am the Senior Anti-Hunger Program Associate at Maryland Hunger Solutions, a nonprofit that works directly with families across the state to access SNAP. I'm also a child of immigrants and a former SNAP recipient, so I just want to thank the opportunity to testify today in support of HB 1458. The need for this bill is urgent. Recent federal changes under H.R. 1 have significantly limited SNAP eligibility for immigrants. These changes didn't just expand harsh work requirements, they eliminated access for refugees, asylees, survivors of trafficking and domestic violence, and many humanitarian parolees. These are individuals who are lawfully present and were previously eligible for SNAP. These federal policy choices are creating hunger by design, which is why this bill is so important and critical. SNAP is our first line of defense against hunger. It supports health, stabilizes families, and strengthens our local economy. And when access to SNAP is stripped away, families experience immediate harm to their health and financial stability. A state SNAP supplement will directly address this harm by ensuring that families can meet their basic food needs.
We have to keep to a minute today. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much.
Yeah, everybody's doing it. Thank you. Okay.
Go ahead.
Who's going next? Go ahead. Bring the microphone to you. My name is Akanksha Sinha, and I'm the Advocacy Manager at Mana Food Center in Montgomery County. I'm also an immigrant and a multiple-time rape survivor. I commend that HB 1458 would restore nutrition assistance to certain survivors of domestic violence and survivors of human trafficking, as I've experienced firsthand how surviving gender-based violence can lead to food insecurity. PTSD medication can be so expensive that survivors like me must choose between paying for medication or purchasing food. Mana is dedicated to serving our diverse community in Montgomery County, 33% of whom are foreign-born, and 43% of whom speak a language other than English at home. Through the redemption of over 7,000 Mana grocery vouchers in 2025, we infused over $356,000 into local businesses serving culturally specific groceries. But our program is stretched to capacity while the need for it is burgeoning. HB 1458 would begin to address that need. Mana Food Center strongly supports HB 1458. Establishing the state SNAP will safeguard food access for refugee and asylee communities, help sustain our overburdened social safety net, and maximize the ability of organizations like Mana to meet increasing community need. We urge the committee to make a favorable report on HB 1458. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, and thank you for your advocacy.
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, thank you. My name is Preeti Niputheri, Executive Director of the International Rescue Committee in Maryland. The IRC works with refugees and asylees who have fled persecution and arrive with nothing but safety in mind. Maryland has long led the nation in welcoming these families who quickly become integral to our workforce and our communities. Since the implementation of H.R. 1, refugees and asylees, people who have always been eligible for SNAP, were removed overnight. These families are starting from zero, working survival wage jobs, learning English, navigating unfamiliar systems, and relying on SNAP briefly as they stabilize. The consequences are immediate. Parents skipping meals so children can eat, milk watered down to last for babies, families who survived war now pushed into deeper crisis on Maryland soil. SNAP is not a long-term subsidy. It is a short targeted bridge that prevents hunger while adults enter the workforce and children enroll in school. Removing the bridge costs far more than providing it. The harm is compounded by these individuals only regaining SNAP eligibility after attaining legal permanent residence. Yet LPR processing has been indefinitely paused. Families doing everything right have no path back.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Can I request to be able to read this through? They're not my words, they're words of the client. So I do not know what to cut and what to say to get it to 1 minute. Can I request it's only 2 minutes, please? Thank you. Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee, my name is Maureen Wamboi, and I'm here to speak for our client who cannot safely appear today. Her absence reflects the gravity of the moment we are in. The following words belong to her. Thank you for hearing my story. For my family's safety, my name is being withheld. I am a 42-year-old single mother living in Baltimore County with 5 children, my 18-year-old and 11-year-old daughters, 14-year-old son, and 20-month-old twins. We came to Maryland seeking safety and ordinary hopes every parent has. Food at the table, a steady school routine, and a future not framed by fear. I lost my own parents in a terrorist attack in my home country, and my children and I were threatened next. That is why we sought refuge elsewhere. When we arrived, SNAP meant stability. It allowed me to plan for meals and buy food for my children. Then, in December 2025, we received a letter telling us we were now on our own. There was no ramp and no grace, just an empty card at the register and the quiet panic of realizing that the math no longer added. Since then, mealtimes have become careful calculations. My older children watch what's left before serving their younger siblings. When the twins cry from hunger, I often must wait before I can feed them. There simply isn't anything left, and we'll eat later is something that I say far more often than I ever imagined. We rely on church food deliveries and food pantries, and if we go to the grocery store, I have to factor the cost of transportation into what I can buy with what I have left, while still trying to make sure a rent of $13.50 gets paid. I recently got a double shift, minimum wage job, but my health forced me to pause working. I'm looking for work again with IRC's employment team and doing everything I can, but there is simply not enough to meet the cost of living.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any questions for this panel? Thank you all for being with us in your advocacy. Thanks for the bill, Delegate. We have a few more witnesses. Susan Allen, Letty Garcia, Krish William Dorian, and we have one virtual witness which we can pull up.
Hello, my name's Susan Allen. I live here in Annapolis, and I'm here as a member of St. Anne's Episcopal Church just down the street and of a Maryland Episcopal churches throughout our state. We are feeding a lot of people. It's not just our food banks. It's not just Department of Human Services. Every faith organization I know is giving food to people, and this is joyful. We love to feed people, and we are doing the best we can. But I'll tell you, we have unprecedented demand. And we haven't even seen it. What's going to happen in June when veterans and homeless people are really going to be thrown off our food programs? So I've got two things I'm asking for today. First is that you support HB 1458 through the House and over to the Senate where there's no comparable bill.
Thank you, and thank you so much for the work that you do.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Lady Garcia. I'm the Director of Health and Human Services at We Are Casa. I speak on behalf of the more than 2,000 immigrants and refugees families we serve every month. Our navigation program connects families to food, healthcare, and basic services. Recently, I worked with Carmen, a mother who came to Maryland after she was granted asylum. She came here with her 2 children fleeing from violence in her home country. Soon after arriving, she found a job. She was working, paying rent, and sending her children to school. She was doing everything right. But when she came to our office, she was devastated. She told us she was not eating enough, just so her children could eat. Some nights they only had rice, some nights they didn't have anything. When we checked if she could qualify for assistance, she didn't because of her granted asylum immigration status, didn't qualify her for the assistance anymore.
Thank you, and thank you for your testimony and all your advocacy. Yes, sir.
Hello. Hello again. My name is William Dorian. As I said, I'm a resident of District 18. I salute my delegate, Emily Shetty, for introducing this bill, and yeah, this is part of the fun people part of my shirt. I've worked with my church, St. Camillus is food pantry for the past 6 years, providing food to primarily our immigrant neighbors. This experience has been transformative, connecting me with my community and giving me the opportunity to learn more about the beautiful cultures, especially our Salvadoran and Honduran community. It's also showed me how severe the need for food support is in our immigrant communities, as many struggle to find work that can support them and their families. Lines are frequently around the block, with hundreds seeking food aid every Friday and Saturday. Visitors to our pantry often have to drive or take the bus between multiple pantries, and that can take hours out of the day and hours that aren't spent at home with, taking care of kids or doing whatever they want. If we consider our state a place that welcomes immigrants and refugees from around the world and enjoys their contributions to our culture and our economy, we should support them. So I urge support for this bill and those like it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for your advocacy. Any questions for the panel? Okay, thanks for being with us. Thanks for what you do. Do we have an online witness? Okay, coming in. Alondra, welcome. You have 1 minute.
Hi, my name is Alondra Lopez Sanchez, and I'm here to ask you to support HB 1458. This bill comes down to something simple. When a family is doing what we ask of them, working, following the rules, trying to find their footing, we should not pull food off their table. Right now, because of the changes in federal SNAP, that is exactly what could happen. A family can be working the same job, earning the same income, doing everything right, and still lose access to food assistance overnight. And it's not just the parents that feel this weight, it is the children. In Maryland, more than a third of children live in immigrant families. Most of these children are U.S. citizens, and when food assistance is lost, the children feel it first and feel it deeply. It shows up in their health, It shows up in how they grow, and it shows up in whether they can focus in a classroom. If we do not act, these families will not stop needing food. They will turn to food banks, but they cannot handle this alone. SNAP provides about 9 meals for everyone a food bank can offer. The gap is real and every community will feel it. HB 1458 is not complicated. It says while families are working to
Thank you,
build a life
Alondra.
here.
That's your time is up, but thank you so much. We hear your voice and we appreciate it. Any questions for the virtual witness? Okay, have a great day. That concludes the bill hearing. Is Dana Stein here? There you are. Come on up. House Bill 1257.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair, and committee members. For the record, Delegate Dana Stein on House Bill 1257. This is a Baltimore County bill which would provide more transparency with respect to the Baltimore County school budget. The budget is a large budget, as it is in many districts, $2.5 billion. And online, the school system does provide a large of information relating to its budget, but it's hard to access. Some key information doesn't seem to be available online at all. So as amended, this bill would require that several categories of budget information be made available in a publicly online format, including historical budget data, information on vendor contract awards, school-level enrollment data, information on capital projects, and quarterly actual to budget reports. So by providing this information, the public would have a lot more insight as to how the school system operates. So with that, I urge a favorable report. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your leadership. Any questions for the sponsor? Have a great day.
Thank you.
See you. That concludes the bill hearing. We're going to move on to House Bill 614. I think I saw Delegate Wu. Come on up, sir. Uh-oh. Go ahead.
Okay, I love the music. Good afternoon, Chair Bond, Vice Chair Kaiser, and members of the Appropriations Committee. For the record, I'm Delegate Cha Wu from District 9A. Today, I'm presenting HB 614, which is a returning bill from last year. The bill has no physical impact, or there are existing free platforms that are designed to support educational institutions in tracking energy usage for our school buildings. We also have support from IC, Interagency Commission, and several other school systems. Many of us know the current energy crisis occurring and how Maryland are facing rising energy costs. One example in Howard County, adjusting room temperature by 1 degree could save approximately $1 million annually, according to a board discussion that happened 6 years ago. This highlights the importance of implementing a data-driven approach to pinpoint strategies moving forward in energy conservation and energy efficiency for our school buildings in the future. On a monthly basis, the IC will be able to analyze the data to provide recommendations and identify potential issues, ensuring optimal temperature in the school buildings, and possibly addressing other concerns. Properly heated and cooled buildings can reduce maintenance costs by up to 20% and extend the lifespan of facilities by 20% as well. To address the opposition, I would like to make one thing clear. The bill does not require school system to implement IC recommendations at this time. It only requires local school systems to share their energy usage data with IC. The bill sponsor had several discussions with IC staff, and this initiative is both feasible and readily implementable. We simply need to establish a structured process to move forward. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you, Delegate, for your testimony and your bill today. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we thank you so much. I believe you're on the next bill for Howard County as well?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
please. So that ends the bill hearing for House Bill 1176, excuse me, House Bill 614. Moving on to House Bill 1176.
Thank you. Good afternoon, members of the Appropriations Committee. I'm Delegate Cha Wu from District 9A. Today, I'm presenting HB 1176 on behalf of Howard County delegation. The original bill required the county to meet a minimum approximation of 58% of general fund revenue to the school system annually based on the historic data. However, the bill was heavily amended to be a remote report only, such that the public know the percentage of county funding goes to the school system. And it keeps the county funding more transparent and more accountable. Thank you very much for the consideration.
Thank you so much for the bill. Are there any questions for the delegate? Seeing none, thank you so much for your time here today.
Thank you.
That concludes the bill hearing for House Bill 1176. Is there anyone here to present House Bill 839 for the Frederick County delegation? Okay, perfect. Please come forward. Yes, please say your names and you'll have time to present, and then any subsequent testimony will have a minute.
So you said I have 2 minutes?
You are presenting.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm not presenting in opposition. Chris Fair, I think.
Okay. We're going to be jumping to House Bill 845, Wacomico County delegation.
Thank you, Chair Barnes, Vice Chair Kaiser, and the best committee in the General Assembly. I'm Delegate Barry Beecham from Wicomico County, District 38B. This is a local bill, and it basically applies to students from the town of Del Mar. It's kind of a unique situation here. Del Mar has elementary schools, middle schools in Maryland, and just on the other side of the line is the high school. And basically what this bill does is it alters the eligibility for community college promise scholarship to include residents of Del Mar, Maryland, who graduated from Del Mar High School in Del Mar, Delaware. Very unique situation. And we would ask for a favorable report on House Bill 845.
Thank you for bringing this bill. Testimony?
Hi, my name is Bunky Luffman. I'm Director of Administration for Wicomico County, here in support of the bill. I'm also previous Deputy Mayor of Del Mar. Del Mar is incredibly unique. We have 2 different mayors, 2 different town councils. We provide water and sewer to both sides of the line. So we're sort of used to sort of dealing with both states or working with both states, both counties, and both towns have their own governments as well. So this is the bi-state agreement is an agreement that was signed in 1955 that allows Del Mar, Delaware children in K through 4 to have education in Wicomico County, allows 5th through 12th to have education in Del Mar, Delaware. And the Promise Scholarship, unfortunately, when it was passed, required a graduate of a Maryland high school. So even though one of our next speaker, Jackson Luffman, he's spending the day here with Dad, is a junior at Del Mar High, he would be ineligible for this scholarship along with his other colleagues who are Del Mar, Maryland residents when they graduate. So we believe this was simply an oversight that we're trying to correct, and we would ask for your favorable report on this bill.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. It's an honor to have the opportunity to testify to you today. As he said, my name is Jackson Luffman. I'm a junior at Del Mar High School in Del Mar, Delaware. I live in Del Mar, Maryland, just over the state line. Our town's literally split in half. And a lot of us Maryland students end up going to the Delaware High School because it's the closest by far and makes the most sense for us and our families. I'm in strong support of House Bill 845, which would let Maryland residents like me who graduate from Del Mar High School qualify for this Community College Promise Scholarship. Right now, Del Mar High students, such as myself, are shut out of the amazing opportunity to attend community colleges like Warwick with financial help from the scholarship. Even though many of us have lived in this state for our entire lives, our parents pay taxes here, and we plan to build our futures in this state. Many would like to attend Warwick Community College to study trades or further prepare for a 4-year college. Without this scholarship, that next step feels out of reach for a lot of us. This bill would change that by opening the door for Del Mar grads from the Maryland side to enroll in a Maryland community college and get the financial help that many of us need. There are hundreds of students in this situation every year, and the scholarship would help us stay close to home, avoid massive student debt, and pursue careers that strengthen our local Maryland economy. Imagine more young people.
Could you, you're out of time. I gave you a little bit extra, but could you conclude, please?
Sure. I urge you to pass this bill. It's fair, it's smart, and it invests in kids who are already part of Maryland's future. Thank you for your time and considering this important bill. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
For your testimony.
Good afternoon.
I was going to give his flowers after the panel, but y'all jumped the gun. Mr. Viriano.
Thank you for the applause. I've never, in the 54 years I've testified before the legislature, I've never been applauded. So today's a very unusual day for me. Thank you very much. For the record, Bruce Viriano, I'm here on behalf of the County Executive of Wycomico County. Very, very strong support of this bill. Seriously, this bill makes sense. Del Mar is unique. It's part of Maryland. This kid wants to go forward, maybe sit here one day. Let's pass this bill so he can do that. Thank you.
Thank you for the testimony.
Thank you again for the applause.
That was really for Jackson. Thank you for your testimony. You did an excellent job. So you have a very bright future. Are there any questions for this panel? Seeing none, thank you for the time. Seems like a common sense bill.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of your day. That concludes the bill hearing for House Bill 845. Is there anyone here to present the Frederick County delegation bill? If not, we're still waiting on that. I don't see Delegate Grammer. Is anyone from his staff here? Is anyone from Delegate Hill's staff here? Stay tuned. Delegate Fair is here. We're very happy to see our colleague. House Bill 839, Frederick County delegation. I know some of the witnesses from Frederick County, I think, were here already.
Yes, I think they're in opposition, though.
They're in opposition. Never mind. I don't even know you guys. Let's start here.
Thank you. Appreciate you. And the Government, Labor, and Elections Committee thanks you for your patience as we were in the middle of a voting session and I was running out the door. I apologize. Colleagues on the Appropriations Committee, Chair Smith, it's good to see everybody. For the record, Delegate Chris Fair here to present this joint bill from the Frederick County delegation titled House Bill 839, Frederick Community College Board of Trustees Meeting and Training Requirements. So let's first outline what exactly this bill does. It's pretty straightforward. It requires a college to simply maintain video or audio recordings of each meeting for at least 5 years, add a transcription of the video or audio recording in perpetuity, and finally, it requires board members to undergo training every 2 years. And then finally, it increases transparency and communication by requiring a period of public comment during meetings of the Board of Trustees. This is based very much off of a similar bill that was heard in Howard County last year, Senate Bill 813, that passed the delegation committee and the General Assembly unanimously. We are asking that Frederick be given the same courtesy. There are 16 total community colleges in the state of Maryland. 13 of them have similar policies already in place. We are asking for the same thing. Now, you might ask yourself, why are we working on this? And so I just want to share a little perspective of how we've gotten to this point. So last January of 2025, unexpectedly, and I think that that's a fair word, unexpectedly, the Frederick Community College announced that it was closing its long time held child care center. And that child care center was a critical linchpin in the community. It was one of the only affordable child care centers in the community, and it was generally pretty well booked. It continuously under-operated, purely based on, from at least the knowledge that we gained, it was operating under capacity by choice. And there was a waiting list to be inside of that child care center because of the costs. I don't purport or pretend to tell the community college how to run its operations. I would never imagine that that would be my role or anybody's role, really. The community college has to make the decisions that are in the best interest of the community college. What I was surprised with, and my colleagues, the entire Frederick County delegation was surprised by, was the fact that the community college did this and made this decision without once communicating or talking with the public prior to making that decision. They decided unilaterally that they were going to close the child care center. They informed all the parents and said, well, you have 90 days, we're closing it down, you need to find new child care solutions for your young people, for the young people in your community. That left us all with a little bit of a bad taste in our mouth. And so we felt very strongly that as a publicly funded institution, as you all are public officials here, that we get to make decisions every single day, but we don't get to avoid talking to the public about those decisions. We don't get to avoid having a conversation, sharing our reasoning and our logic, and being able to hear back from the general public about why we did this. It's a very reasonable accommodation that we asked folks to make. So we reached out, the delegation reached out to the leadership at Frederick Community College and asked for a meeting. We were denied. We reached out again and asked for a town hall. We brought together all of the parents so that they could have a moment to share their concerns, share what's happened, and try to understand exactly what happened. We reached out in good faith, offering to facilitate the conversation, and we were denied. We reached out again and suggested that this is not a good idea to block access for public comment from the general public for such a decision that is harming many members of our community, and that we should do something about it. And that, unfortunately, was left unresponded to. So that really kind of left our hands tied at that point. We saw the reality on the ground, and we decided that we needed to do something. And so this bill comes from a place of good heart. I'll be very candid. I'm an alumni at Frederick Community College. I graduated there in 2008. I'm a very proud Cougar, always have been. Love that word. I'm a very proud member of the Frederick Community College family and have done a lot of work with the college for years and years and years. I will continue to support the efforts that they do, but I think that this bill draws a very fine line and says, we all make tough decisions as stewards of taxpayer dollars, as community benefits, and you should be able to do that as a college, as a university, as a state delegation, a state elected body. But we have to give the opportunity for people to be heard and to be able to understand how institutions come to the decisions that they're coming to, which was the goal from day one, from January 29th, 2025 to today. That is the only goal. I'm happy to say that this bill just passed out of the Senate unanimously, and I'm hoping that it will do the same here in the House. And with that, Madam Chair, I ask for a favorable report.
Thank you so much, Delegate. Are there any questions for Delegate Fair? Yes, Delegate Harrison.
Thank you. When you referenced that there are several other community colleges that do this, are they all keeping their recordings in perpetuity?
Yes.
Perpetuity is what caught my ear.
Yeah, so it's not keeping the record, it's keeping, I'm sorry, it's keeping recordings for, and I want to get the exact amount of time, I don't want to misspeak here, shall maintain, the video recording will be maintained for 5 years, and the transcribed, that is the written version, will be kept in perpetuity. Basically, your meeting minutes will be kept in perpetuity.
Okay.
So, which is common practice, it should be common practice for almost all institutions with open meetings.
And the reason that I ask, I actually sit on the foundation board of my community college, and I was trying to see if I could get the answer real quick from from the chair of the trustee board for my local community college. So I was just wondering.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. I
right.
appreciate that, Delegate. But yes, it is perpetuity for the written meeting minutes.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Are there any additional questions? Seeing none, that would conclude the favorable testimony for this bill, and I believe that we have William Reed from
Thank
the
you, Madam Chair.
Frederick Community College Board of Trustees. You have a minute.
Oh, goodness. Good afternoon, members of the Appropriations Committee. Thank you for this opportunity to testify. My name is Dr. William Reed, and I'm speaking on behalf of Frederick Community College Board of Trustees in opposition to Bill 839, and I'm joined by our Vice Chair, Chair Kimberlin. The board is committed to transparency, accountability, and community engagement. Trustees serve in a nonpartisan capacity and act in the best interest of our community. We actively seek public input through a formal outreach plan posted on our website, and the community members may contact trustees at any time. Earlier this year, we amended our bylaws to include public comment at board meetings, and we fully comply with the Open Meetings Act. To ensure strong trustee leadership, board members already participate and completed more than 40 hours of continuing education since 2023. Importantly, this legislation removes an element of local governance authority and places it with a state mandate. Frederick Community College already operates within a strong governance framework and has demonstrated its commitment to transparency without the need for a future statutory action. The bill also would create new costs.
Can you please finish your remarks? You're past a minute.
Okay. Finally, FCC was recently reaffirmed for accreditation with no governance-related findings, further demonstrating the college already operates under a strong and effective governance structure. For these reasons, we respectively urge an unfavorable report for HB 839.
Thank you for that extended closure. Appreciate it. Just joking. So any questions? Yes, which was first? Delegate Ruff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sir, are you saying that you are opposed to your board including an opportunity for public comment at your meetings?
No, I'm not. We already have, we've just recently added public comment to our bylaws. And so we already in compliance with that. Since I've gotten an opportunity to say something again, the closing of the child care center.
Well, sir, I'm sorry. It does need to be responsive to the question. Specifically, can you tell me what your opposition is to this bill? Which piece of the bill are you opposed to?
We are opposed to having the state mandate through statute things that we perform. We already are compliant with the Open Meetings Act. Our board members already participate in professional development more than 40 hours since 2023. So we feel as though that having this statute is unnecessary and duplicative. We're already doing the things that this bill requires.
Delegate McCaskill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So thank you, colleagues, for asking that question. I want to build on that. Now that you're saying that you already perform these duties, you are about to mention cost.
Yes.
So there should be no additional costs since you already do this, or was that not what you were about to say?
No, that's not true. There are those, the extra costs. The bill would also create new costs. The college estimates implementing the mandatory recording and posting requirements would cost approximately $15,000. Also, yet there's provides no funding in the legislation. Also, recently, the Senate just added an amendment that disrupts our current state-approved record retention that needs to be addressed. So there are costs associated with the college, and during these very frugal fiscal times, it's a problem.
Okay, Madam Chair, may I have one follow-up? Thank you. So I have not listened to the Senate's version on this bill. So you are, for the record and for my knowledge, you are in opposition of the amendments made on the Senate side.
That's right, mainly because we feel it's unnecessary and duplicative, and having the state take away local authority, I think is also a problem.
I'll yield. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Delegate Harrison.
Thank you so much. And so is there a reason that you would refuse to meet with the delegates or the delegation? And then also, what percentage of your funding comes from the state?
I'm not sure, I think a third, but you want to answer that about the, this is our vice chair, Kara Kimberlin.
I'm not sure about the actual percentage. I think it's somewhere around 12, 13%, but I can't be sure about that. One comment I'd like to make in regards to your question on meeting with the delegation, this bill was a complete surprise to the Board of Trustees. We've never met with our delegates to even discuss this, to even come to some agreement as to what the concern was. We heard it through the grapevine. So when it comes to transparency, I question the fact that who's not transparent here.
According to the delegate's testimony, the meeting was requested on 2 different occasions, and it was denied.
Well, I'm not sure about that either, except that I know that we have a wonderful, wonderful president who makes good decisions. Through our governance system, we have our president make decisions, and we, as trustees, either support or object to those decisions. She gave us ample time, talked to us about it. We agreed with her decision because every year, and I've been on this board 8 years now, every year that I've been on this board, we have had a deficit with our child care center. We bring in our president who studies this, who has senior leaders who come in and work with her, evaluate the situation, and a decision was made that it is not, we're not financially able to continue in this way. Therefore, it was January, I think, when she decided. She met with us, she met with her staff, she met with the child care staff. All of that was decided and in agreement with the Board of Trustees because it was the right decision. And I'm sorry if our state delegates, 1 or 2 of them didn't agree with that because they got some feedback or some pushback from I would say close to maybe 20,
Excuse
25
me,
people.
because we have to move on.
Sure.
The only thing that I would say, and thank you for your indulgence, Madam Chair, is that it sounds like there is a lack of communication, and I'm going to strongly suggest that the delegate is sitting here now, that perhaps you all can set up a meeting to talk about this further.
I
Thank
totally
you.
agree. Thank you.
Delegate Kaiser? Oh, she had a question.
No, she's still chairing. Thank you, Madam Chair. Ma'am, I heard you mention that something about 1 or 2 delegates. I believe the Frederick County delegation has maybe 12 members, and it was unanimous. So is a dozen? I'm just trying to understand the numbers that you were coming up with.
Again, not meeting directly with the delegation over this bill, as far as I'm concerned. 1 or 2 delegates, I think, were the people who started this. This is what I was referring to. This is not saying that the entire delegation did not vote approval for it.
Delegate Jones, did you have a question?
I'll get the hang of it. I don't want to belabor the point. However, I am just maybe a yes or no, if that's okay. This is a Frederick County delegation bill. That means the whole delegation. And I'm a little confused. The delegate said that there was a meeting that was requested. Did you meet with delegates yet or not? I heard a lot about other things.
Yeah, we're, as a board, it's the administrative function of the college is run through the president. We did not, I don't recall ever receiving an invitation to go to a meeting with the, I know it was that it made the papers, but I don't remember ever receiving a formal invitation that the board members should go to a meeting to discuss the child care center. Plus, the child care center was closed because turned into a biotech center. There was money through the state. I mean, this isn't, the college operates as a business.
I just want to make sure I understand. So you did or you didn't get a request from, not told to go to a meeting, did or you did not?
The board did not receive a request, no, not that I remember.
Thank you.
Are there any final questions for this panel? Seeing none, this concludes the bill hearing for House Bill 839. Thank you so much for your time today. Passing it over.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for passing back the baton. Delegate Grammer, you have 3 bills, but we are going to start with your jointly assigned bill, House Bill 1331. We have 3 members here from the Health Committee, Delegates Hutchinson, Alston, and Martinez. That's the order they came in, and the acronym is HAM. I just needed a little, it just occurred to me as I was doing it.
Well done.
But the 3 of you can certainly come up to any desk if you have a question. Glad to lighten the mood. Delegate Grammer, go ahead, House Bill 1331.
I don't have a panel, but I'd welcome anybody up that you wanted to bring up, and with that, I'll get started. Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee, for the record, Delegate Robin Grammer here to present House Bill 1331. House Bill 1331 puts in place several audits to ensure the integrity of our public benefit system. At its core, House Bill 1331 addresses a fundamental concern shared by many Marylanders, that government systems should operate efficiently, fairly, and in a way that delivers measurable results. Too often, well-intentioned policies fall short due to lack of oversight or insufficient accountability mechanisms. The bill seeks to correct that by establishing clear expectations and ensuring that outcomes, not just intentions, are the measure of success. The goal of the bill is to identify and eliminate fraud. To accomplish this, the bill audits for those who are deceased and should not be receiving benefits, audits for wage eligibility, audits for employment, income, and residency changes, audits IRS filings, tax data, and family composition, audits incarceration data, audits supplemental income, beneficiary, and pension information, audits change of address information, educational enrollment and enrollment data. It also audits citizenship and immigration status, and finally, audits for lottery winnings. The bill also provides a lockout for working age violators and makes public the number of fraudulent infractions in the system. Every benefit dollar that is allocated based on fraud is a dollar that does not reach someone truly in need. And for that, I respectfully urge a favorable report on House Bill 1331. I'll be happy to take questions.
Thank you, Delegate. Any members, and I can't see behind me too well, including our 3 visitors from the Health Committee? Not visitors, but members of this joint committee, I apologize. Anyone? Thank you, Delegate Grammer.
Thank you.
Next, we have in person, we have unfavorable. Mars Tamara, or Tamara, I'm sorry. I see 2 of you coming up, but I think she's just the only one signed up. Is that right? Okay.
This is my supervisor. It's Mars Tamara.
Okay, got it.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. My name is Mars, and I'm a soon-to-be graduate of the University of Maryland Baltimore School of Social Work. I am testifying in opposition to Bill 1331. 1331 attempts to address benefit fraud by creating strict requirements. These requirements are stacked on top of the ones created by the One Big Beautiful Bill Act and which are already expected to cost the state tens of millions of dollars in administrative costs. However, fraud is not a significant driver of Medicaid losses. According to the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, only 6% of Medicaid's payments are made improperly. Of that 6%, 4/5 are due to incomplete documentation, which is not generally indicative of fraud or abuse. Furthermore, for what fraud does occur, the majority of fraud is committed by providers, such as charging for services not rendered. In fact, the 2024 report of the Maryland Office of the Inspector General for Health does not even mention a single case of a beneficiary committing fraud. This bill, I believe, contributes to waste by addressing a non-existent issue, and for these reasons, I urge the Appropriations Committee to vote unfavorably on House Bill 1331. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think your supervisor got some good pictures. Any questions from my colleagues? All right, seeing none, thank you so much. We do have one virtual witness who is in favor of the bill. Ms. Finley, excuse me. Go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me? Great, thank you. Chair and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify today in support of House Bill 1331. Like you said, I'm Caitlin Finley with FGA Action. So at its core, this bill is about making sure Medicaid and food stamps are run the right way. Right now, Maryland is facing some real challenges, as you all know. The state's food stamp payment error rate is about 14%, which could lead to roughly $225 million a year in added state costs. On the Medicaid side, your current error rate could cost Maryland about $150 million. And that's going to be a lot taken from the budget in the next few years. And another important point, this bill does not take away from the safety net. In fact, according to the latest CBO projections, Medicaid spending is actually expected to grow significantly over the next decade. So the issue is not whether Medicaid will continue to grow. The issue is whether that growth is going to be managed responsibly. So House Bill 1331 has the necessary tools to help Maryland avoid those penalties. I ask for your support on this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Finley. Thank you for joining us today, as with the other witnesses. Any questions for Ms. Finley? If not, thank you very much. Thank you, Delegate Grammer. You can come up for your second bill. Thank you, Health members Alston, Martinez, and Hutchinson for joining us. Delegate Grammer, which of your other two bills would you like to take next?
Why don't we do 696, if that's okay?
696, you got it. Go ahead.
Thank you. Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee, for the record, Delegate Robin Grammer here to present House Bill 696. House Bill 696 restores the prescription drug benefit in the state employee and retiree health and welfare benefits program to those employed prior to July 1st, 2011. This is a constituent request, but one that is supported by thousands of Marylanders. Maryland retirees who lost coverage under the state's prescription drug benefit alterations feel they were promised coverage that was taken from them. Thousands of Marylanders gave their youth in service to the state for a benefit they thought would be there for them when they came to rely on it. This year, I'd like to read a brief letter by Lisa Watts. My husband and I were both employed by the state of Maryland and been state retirees for the last several years. My husband is a cellist and was an associate professor of music at Towson University for 33 years. I worked as an attorney for 10 years at the Legal Aid Bureau, and then for 18 years in the Maryland State Board of Physicians. I always believed it was more important as an attorney to work in public service instead of working at a law firm. Even though my earning capacity was greatly compromised, we always received Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance to the state, and we always had the state prescription plan. We were always informed that our state pension would continue when we retired, which obviously included the continuation of our prescription plan. 3.5 years ago, my husband was diagnosed with pulmonary fibrosis, a degenerative lung disease that has no cure. He was initially given 3 to 6 months to live. He's alive today in part because he has been taking a drug called OFEV, which works for some people in delaying the disease. OFEV can run almost $3,000 a year. He is on numerous other drugs for his disease, which are also costly. Our old prescription plan with the state would have basically paid for his drugs. Now we are forced to pay a great deal out of pocket. We live on Social Security and our pensions. We need to pay out of pocket for all of his portable and non-portable oxygen machines. We had to purchase an electric wheelchair because he is on oxygen 24/7 and can no longer walk. Medicare did not cover the $3,200 wheelchair, and we are working with BCBS to see if they will cover some of the cost. We are not independently wealthy and do not have huge savings. It is absolutely outrageous that we gave more than 50 years as a couple to the state of Maryland, and the state just arbitrarily now chooses to terminate our prescription coverage. We believe our years of service to the state of Maryland deserves the reinstatement of the prescription plan, which was basically promised to us from the start of our careers with the state. We should honor our promise, we should protect the vulnerable, and we should restore the coverage to those who fully expected it to be there. With that, I'd be happy to take questions and ask for a favorable on House Bill 696.
Thank you, colleagues. Delegate Grammer, I think of you as quite the fiscal warrior in your critique of some bills. Could you address the fiscal note in this legislation?
Yep. Great question, Madam Chair. I love it, and I appreciate you asking it. I think there are some things that are inherent to the operation of the state, and owning up to the promises we give to those who work in employment to the state is one that I absolutely agree to, especially when we've promised it to them. I'll also say in my time here in the legislature, I forget if it's 11 or 12 years at this point, the budget has grown to the tune of tens of billions of dollars. So we have, 100 times increased the state of the size of the state budget to the cost of this particular plan. So we could absolutely restore this benefit and make these people whole by not even changing the state budget 1%. So because I think it's, an integral part of the operation of the state is to deliver the promise that we gave, I think it's easily very doable.
I missed it. What was the amount?
Looks like in 2027, it's $299 million.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Thank you. I don't doubt for a good purpose. Thank you, Delegate. Next, we have going to take the two favorables together, then the favorable with amendments, and then the virtuals.
Thank you.
I have Sarah Mastronardi and John Terrell. Is someone here from the Maryland State Police Alumni Association?
That's me.
Oh, well, then I have two of you, you and John. Is he coming? Do you know?
Ma'am, I apologize. He was deathly ill today, and he is in tears that he couldn't come and testify. He is 86 years old and wanted to come, but...
Well, please send our regards from the committee that we hope he's feeling better.
Thank you.
Sorry that he couldn't join us today.
Thank you so much. Madam Chairman, honorable delegates of the committee, and all interested parties, I am Sarah Mastronardi. I am a retired first sergeant of the Maryland State Police. I am the president of the State Police Alumni Association, which represents primarily retirees, but we also represent active troopers. Many of our retirees are now in their 80s. We're not prepared for this change. Not only are they not technology savvy, but they may have physical impairments that challenge them on signing up to the new plan. We've been in the new plan for now 1 year. We still have retirees receiving monthly retirement checks under the poverty level. And our retirees that were hired before 1987 were not offered to pay Social Security. I was one of them. This unique, most vulnerable group of state retirees are the ones that are most adversely affected by the loss of the prescription plan. These seniors, many are disabled. Many of the folks had a starting salary of about $7,700, and it's an overwhelming deficit as they attempt to budget the prescription drug plan today. Many have adapted in the new plan and have accepted it, while others have issues with the debit card and the co-pays. It still doesn't compensate for the monthly premiums that they must face and the premiums that have increased. And while our retirees still live on the same limited financial budget. I hate many of our retirees must decide whether to get their prescription or pay their electric bill. One of my retirees left his needed heart medication on the counter in Annapolis as the clerk asked for $300 for a 1-month prescription of a heart medication. That was the copay. And it wasn't in the formulary, so he was going to have to pay that. Our retirees were the ones that ran towards danger and answered the call, and I appreciate that you allowed me to speak.
Gave you a little extra time to take up for your colleague. Any questions? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. Delegate Beecham.
I would just like to tell this lady that I really appreciate. 45 years ago, I had a bachelor party. And, well, it was a surprise bachelor party for me. And here it goes. And one of my friends that happened to be there, I wrestled him. I wrestled his keys from him, wouldn't let him drive until he had his wife call. and actually make me give him his keys, he turns his truck over a mile from the house. And she was the trooper. And I was really upset, more so with him, but I was upset when I got to the scene because I was a volunteer firefighter, EMT for years. And I just wanted to thank you for not treating me like you certainly could have. And I just appreciate that. And we've been friends over the years since
we
then,
have.
but I just wanted to put that on, public record, Thank you.
That's good. Is there anyone else?
We all needed your bachelor party on the public record, so. But thank you again, obviously not just for today, but your service.
Yes,
Thank you
indeed.
for your service.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Next, we have two people here favorable with amendment, James Roberts and Kathleen Miller. Huh? Thank you. Please come up. You have 1 minute.
I am James Roberts, a retired professor at Towson University, where I taught for 33 years. I testified today to support passage of 696 with amendments. My testimony is based on a survey of Maryland State retirees sponsored by the retiree organizations of Towson University, University of Maryland, and UMBC. The results show that a majority of the retirees were satisfied with the transition to Part D, but were only 39% of the retirees were satisfied with their new Medicare Part D plans. A majority of the retirees were unsatisfied with the help that they received from Via Benefits, the state contractor. The percentage of retirees who had prescriptions not covered by their prescription plan increased from 14% in 2024 to 42% in 2025. 58% said they spent more on prescriptions under the new plans, and 35% said they spent significantly more on prescriptions.
Thank you. Can I cut you to your last sentence?
Okay, the retirees said that the cost for prescriptions increased on average by $586 with the Medicare Part D plans.
Thank you. Ms. Miller.
I'm Kathleen Miller. I support passage of House Bill 696 with amendments to restore prescription benefits for Medicare-eligible state retirees hired before July 1st, 2011. A friend must place her husband with dementia in a facility so she can sleep at night while he wanders. How much will his expensive medication cost from the facility pharmacy, she asked. I help her explore plans on Medicare.gov. Still another has cancer medication supplied by his doctor. The HRA card can only be used at pharmacies. He must pay first, then be reimbursed. The expensive medication meets the $2,100 out-of-pocket cap in the first month. My neighbor retired with breathing problems. He was covered by the state plan. His medication costs tripled under Part D. He spends $2,100 now. What about any non-covered prescription drugs? He lives on a fixed income of Social Security, a pension, and a part-time job. He must limit his income because he has not reached his Social Security full retirement age. There's no way for him to earn more to pay more. All retirees hired before July 1st should have the HRA. There's no way for them to make up income they need for prescriptions at their age. These are the voices of your
Ms.
constituents.
Miller, can you please wrap up?
Please support House Bill 696.
To give either one of you a chance for a little bit, you both said favorable with amendment. Neither of you said the amendment that you would want. Could one of you please explain what change you would like?
I'd be glad to summarize those. All the amendments are, by the way, listed in detail in my written testimony.
Okay. Oh, well, we do have access to that if there's any particular one you wish to highlight.
Then one of the ones that I want to highlight is exactly the one that Kathleen just spoke of, and that is that the HRA, that is the debit card that was given to try to ease the transition, was only given to those who retired before January of 2020. There's an arbitrary deadline, and that means that we've left thousands of other retirees without that benefit. And so that, among other amendments, is the one that I would really like to highlight.
Thank you so much. Colleagues, any other questions? Thank you both. Thank you both for coming in today. I'm going to move to the virtual witnesses. I see Ms. Hill, and then we're also waiting for Mr. Fitch. Ms. Hill, once you take yourself off of mute, you can get started. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Any other questions?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you both for coming in today. I'm going to move to the virtual witnesses. I see Ms. Hill, and then we're also Ms. Hill, you need to turn off your YouTube. There's a little bit of a delay there, so you should turn off your YouTube. I'll wait 10 seconds.
Okay, thank you. 1 second. I apologize. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. I had YouTube on. Hello, my name is, and I'm sorry, do I have 2 minutes or 1 minute? Hello?
1 minute.
1 minute. Oh, okay, 1 minute. Okay, my name is Deborah Holloway Hill. I am the attorney that handled the litigation in regards to the prescription drug coverage for state retirees. I am asking for a favorable ruling. This legislation seeks reinstatement of this drug program that provided an economic wraparound which reduced the cost of the prescription drug coverage under Medicare Part D. I have to define the state retirees who are affected by this legislation. First and foremost, they are 65 or older, or they have retired disabled. Secondly, these retirees vested into the program prior to July 1st, 2011, and retired prior to January 1st, 2019. The Department of Legislative Services said that the number of affected retirees was about 48,000 in 2011. I think the fiscal note has it at 45,000 now.
Ms. Hill, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Any wrap-up sentence that you'd like to make?
Yeah, I think this is a perfect opportunity for the General Assembly to right a wrong and reinstate this benefit because the numbers keep decreasing. Right now, this is an opportunity that the state could take advantage of.
All right, thank you. Colleagues, any questions for Ms. Hill? Mr. Fitch, the next person, is not here, so this would otherwise be the end of this bill. Thank you all very much, and thank you all for coming. We're done with the hearing on House Bill 696. Delegate Grammer for the hat trick, House Bill 1322.
Thank you.
You're wearing your soccer shoes today?
I am, are you?
Of course I am.
Let's see them.
Well, no, that's okay.
Oh,
That's okay.
all right, all right, all right.
Yes, thank you. I'm a little old. Let's not
It's
risk our
all good.
safety. Go ahead, Delegate Grammer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee, for the record, Delegate Robin here to present House Bill 1322. House Bill 1322 protects free speech on Maryland's college campuses. At its core, House Bill 1322 affirms a simple but essential American principle that the free exchange of ideas, especially those that are controversial or unpopular, is indispensable to education and to a functioning democracy. Our colleges and universities should be places where ideas are tested, debated, and challenged, not suppressed. In recent years, there has been a growing concern that campus environments across the country have become less tolerant of differing viewpoints. Speakers have been disinvited, events disrupted, and students have faced social or institutional pressure for expressing dissenting opinions. Whether one agrees with those viewpoints or not, the suppression of speech undermines the very purpose of higher education. At Towson University, students were disciplined for a peaceful die-in. The campus has also put in place constricting restrictions on where and how speech can occur, and also put advance approval requirements. Towson University students in campus groups were among the most punished or investigated for free speech in the U.S. from 20 to 2024, according to a report by the nonprofit Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression. The University of Maryland attempted to suspend freedom of speech on October 7th in direct violation of the Constitution. Also at the University of Maryland, a Turning Point chapter was forced to pay security fees in order to host a speaker. There's a clear need to reinforce our statute governing free speech in Maryland. House Bill 1322 protects free speech by codifying the time, place, and manner Supreme Court case law limitations. It defines allowances, but also limitations or permitting requirements. It clarifies that campuses are broadly free speech protected areas and prohibits free speech zones. And finally, it provides a cause of action for infractions by institutions on the free speech of their students. Importantly, this legislation promotes viewpoint neutrality, does not favor one ideology over another. Instead, it protects the rights of all individuals equally, ensuring that no student or speaker is silenced because of their views are unpopular or politically inconvenient. This neutrality is essential to maintaining fairness and credibility with academic institutions. House Bill 1322 also strengthens accountability by clarifying policies and expectations. It provides guidance to administrators while safeguarding students' constitutional rights. Institutions that receive public funding have a responsibility to uphold these freedoms, and this bill ensures that they do so consistently. With that, I'd be happy to take questions, and I'd ask for a favorable on House Bill 1322.
Thank you, Delegate. Questions, Delegate Acevedo.
Thank you for bringing the bill, Delegate. I appreciate the intent with which you brought it. I firmly believe in protecting free speech. May not agree with what you say, but I'll defend your right to say it.
Appreciate it.
In the previous, on a previous bill, I'd noted that the University of Maryland, you alluded to it in your testimony, had to settle a court case because they were infringing on the rights of University of Maryland students who were protesting Israel's government and their actions. How does your bill protect those students and their right to free speech?
There is case law governing time, place, and manner restrictions. The students won that case, and this bill in part codifies the Supreme Court case law. So this would enforce those restrictions on the administration of the campus. So they couldn't say this you can't do it at this time. That would be prohibited under this bill.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Any other questions for Delegate Grammer? Thank you, Delegate.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
We have two people signed up in favor, a Michael Hurley and a Kyle Beltramini. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Go ahead when you sit down.
No problem. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Hurley. I am Government Affairs Counsel with the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, or FIRE. We support HB 1322 because it would codify constitutionally grounded campus free speech protections that have been adopted in more than 20 states, often with unanimous bipartisan support. And when I say constitutionally grounded, I mean it. Each test in this bill comes from the Supreme Court in large part. Unfortunately, in FIRE's experience, university adherence to this case law tends to ebb and flow in the absence of clear statutory directives because college policies can always change. For example, the University of Maryland College Park maintains excellent free speech policies, but in fall 2024, the university deviated from those policies, announcing that it would only allow school-sponsored events on October 7th. Among those affected were Jewish Force for Peace and Students for Justice in Palestine, who sought only to hold an interfaith vigil, among other programming. They filed suit, and the court sided with them, issuing a preliminary injunction, and the university ultimately paid $100,000 to settle. In sum, HB 1322 would help ensure long-term, consistent adherence to the Constitution, which would protect student rights and actually prevent costly litigation.
Thank you. Next.
Thank you all for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Kyle Beltramini, and I'm the Senior Research Fellow at ACTA, the American Council of Trustees and Alumni. We are an independent, nonpartisan nonprofit dedicated to supporting academic freedom, academic excellence, and accountability in higher education. And we enthusiastically support the Maryland Campus Area Free Expression Act. Campus administrators need to balance their need to maintain an orderly environment conducive to student learning with protecting and supporting the rights of students, staff, and faculty on campus. House Bill 1322 helps resolve this tension by ensuring that administrative power is used to facilitate rather than frustrate the open exchange of ideas. We've already heard quite a bit about some issues on Maryland college campuses. That shows that this bill is in fact quite timely. For over 30 years, ACTA has worked with college and university governing boards to ensure that they understand their legal and fiduciary and moral responsibilities on campus. We are committed to protecting the institutional autonomy of colleges and universities. And if House Bill 1322 represented an undue political intrusion to university governance, we would be here opposing the legislation. Instead, by establishing clear principles that hew closely to First Amendment jurisprudence, the bill empowers boards to fulfill their role as the primary guardians of student and faculty rights. We hope that you favorably report the bill, and we thank you all for the work you're doing to support public higher education.
Thank you. Thank you. Colleagues, any questions for either of these gentlemen? Thank you both very much. Thank you for coming in today. Thank you, Delegate Grammer. We're done with the hearing on House Bill 1322. We will move to the last hearing of the day, Delegate Hill, House Bill 915. And looks like you have a panel, Ariel Skinner, Crystal Young, Therese Hessler, and Diana Phillip. Teresa, sorry. And then there's 6 others, so we'll start with your panel. Delegate Hill, go ahead.
Madam Chair, members of Appropriations, appreciate having the opportunity to come before you. My name is Terry Hill. For the record, I represent District 12A in Howard County. And just real briefly, many years ago, I was trying to figure out why it was that adults who had been in foster care had so many statistical disproportionate representations in terms of homelessness, in terms of suicidality, in terms of general health. And I was talking with some friends, and we sort of said, you know, even a person from a dysfunctional family who's not in foster care has a drunk Uncle Joe somewhere who can give them some good advice. But oftentimes kids in foster care, sometimes you might be the drunk Uncle Joe. But many people who have gone through the foster care system, whether they're in homes or any of the other various means, they don't have a family structure where there's somebody that they can call on when they just need advice. So I thought about maybe what we really needed for adults, 20-something, 30-something, to help them negotiate the world was maybe just a hotline that was dedicated to them, a hotline where they could just call someone with no obligation and say, hey, my car's in the shop, I don't have the $100, and if I stop going to work because I don't have the car, what do I do? They don't have anyone oftentimes. So in thinking about that, what I realized is that I don't really know what the answer is. And this committee, this General Assembly does a lot of work year after year trying to figure out what the right answers are. Universal basic income for young adults who've aged out of foster, great thing. But we don't know how well it's going to work. We will find out in a few years. So in talking to folks from around the country at CSG, we found out there was a program up in Vermont where they're doing a lot of good support work, and they've got a hotline. And I was talking to Diana Phillips here, and I was like, you know, where do we find the solutions? What do you think about a hotline? And as we started talking about it, she said, well, a hotline might be good, but wouldn't it be better for us to figure out what the right answers are before we put another bill in for a solution that we don't know if it's going to work? So that's what this bill is. It's not focusing on the young people just before they age out. It's focusing on the adults who've aged out. And it's putting together a group of advocates and some other experts from the state to ask the question, how do we help them to do better? What are the problems that they're facing? So that's really what this bill is about, and I'm hoping that we could do a work group, come up with some answers, look around the country, figure out what's working in other places, what works here that we've already done, and what's not working so we can stop doing it. And then maybe we can come out with some legislative proposals in a few years that aren't based on some of us having a really good idea that we think is a good idea, but maybe really isn't. Or just because we care and we keep hitting and swinging and not making it. We're not hitting the target that we're trying to hit, and there must be a reason why. So that's what this work group bill is about. Let's get the answers before we swing again. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Delegate. Whoever wants to start? Crystal? Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Wait, we got to make sure that one's on. Give it Do you turn it on?
Don't touch it, don't touch it. They'll turn it on, they have the power, they have the power.
Push the button.
Oh, usually
Or
it's you
come
don't
sit
push
where
the
I am,
button.
come sit over here. And no, it's not, it's not.
Oh, now that,
You got it.
Okay.
all right.
When you sit down, it'll go off.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and other members of the committee. My name is Crystal Young. I'm the administrator for the Citizens Review Board for Children. We basically review cases of children across the entire state in all 24 jurisdictions for those individuals who are in out-of-home placement. A portion of our purview is to review children aged 17 to 20 to determine whether or not they're ready to actually age out of care. As you can imagine, older youth aging out of care present with persistent complexities. Similarly, exploring new and innovative strategies and ways to engage and work with older youth would support improved outcomes and preparedness for transitioning youth or emerging adults. For this reason, the Citizens Review Board for Children urges a favorable report on House Bill 0915.
My name is Ariel Skinner, and I'm representing Maryland chapter of National Association of Social Workers in strong support of House Bill 915. We thank Delegate Hill and her co-sponsors for the bill and for naming NASW to participate in the work group. It is important to hear from social workers and people with lived experience in making recommendations about the foster care system. I'm in a position to provide both perspectives. I went off to college and found the sudden loss of support disorienting. I experienced homelessness during semester breaks, battled depression and anxiety, and even questioned whether life was worth living as I navigated a world without a safety net. I needed to understand the resources available to me and whom I could turn to for support when those I thought who would be there were not, someone to guide me and be strong for me when I struggled to be strong for myself. I now work in the same system. Although I have aged out several years ago, the outcomes I witness every day are unfortunately the same. Seeing a youth spend her 21st birthday on Christmas Eve in line at a homeless shelter, being told anything beyond her suitcase is not permitted because she has too many bags is heartbreaking. Ensuring better outcomes is a collective effort where all voices should be heard, especially those who have lived it. I thank you for your time and urge you to give House Bill 915 a favorable report.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. Teresa Hessler here on behalf of the Maryland Association for Resources for Families and Youth in support of House Bill 915. For youth that age out of foster care without foundation turning 18 or 21 does not mean that they are ready. It simply means that the support ends. And in that moment, they are expected to navigate very overwhelming things: housing, education, employment, and their very own well-being on their own. And we know targeted supports are helpful, tuition, housing, grants, but we also know, like the good delegate mentioned, we don't have a full picture, and that is what this bill aims to achieve. It's about bringing the right people to the table, agencies, providers, and importantly, individuals with lived experience. This work group does create that opportunity. And for those reasons, we respectfully ask a favorable report on House Bill 915. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and Vice Chair of the Appropriations Committee and members. My name is Diana Phillip with the Coalition to Protect Maryland's Children. So often youth are the objects of public policy, but we don't give them the opportunity to be agents of it. And what this work group bill says is that we're going to bring 15 young people between the ages of 18 and 25 to tell us what it's been like and their challenges to age out of the system. And having them in the same room with advocates and state agencies and other people that think that they might have the answer for them to inform us exactly what's going on, that is what we need to invest in the state of Maryland. That's what this work group is all about. I just wanted to also mention that the bill was amended for the Citizens Review Board for Children to be staffing it, so there's no fiscal note on this. However, I also do agree with the Department of Human Services in their information letter that it would be great to have stipends for the youth who are participating at a low cost. Right now is no fiscal note, and I'm now stretching my neck out here, but it's quite often that we find we have better participation and investment by the youth if we provide a stipend to them. We urge you a favorable report on House Bill 915. Thank you.
Thank you. Has everyone on the panel testified? Good. Well, thank you all for your advocacy, Delegate. Thank you for your bill and your advocacy on this. Are there any questions from the panel? Yes, Delegate Grice.
line, Uncle Joe's cell, maybe. I think that would.
Yeah, and Uncle Jill too.
I'll offer that to the committee if we move this now.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Delegate, for bringing this really thoughtful bill. I love the idea of investing time and especially centering the voices of impacted individuals. And with that, I really want to take a moment to thank our social worker on the panel for sharing your story so beautifully and really highlighting like how many barriers individuals who go through the system face and how hard it is to get to where you are today. So I want to commend you for doing the important work to center the voices that you do. Madam Delegate, would you be open to the idea of partnering over the interim to work on this type of project, whether or not this bill passes? Because I think it is really smart to leverage our delegate wand together and bring together a group of stakeholders to look at these issues.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'll be very quick. Absolutely love it. The bill that I'd introduced came from a constituent of mine's. And a constituent that aged out of Maryland's foster care system. And so I'm really grateful for everyone in this committee for their vote. But to your point, the lived experiences of kids aging out of foster care is so critical. And that's really how I got the bill idea. It wasn't, we need to do this, but from listening to individuals who've aged out of Maryland's foster care system. And so I appreciate that. I just also wanted to highlight, I know, separate that the DPSCS has a reentry passport where they essentially online put all these services and whatnot for individuals who are reentering our communities to ensure that they have documentation, IDs, resources, agency, et cetera, and so on. The reentry passport program, et cetera. And so just curious if, after, because the work of this this group is certainly critical. How do we essentially put all that into a repository, I guess, so that it's easily accessible for kids aging out of foster care system to be able to get access to all of that? So just an idea.
Can I allow her to answer? There you go.
Are you aware of it? No, I'm not aware of that resource. Okay,
Yeah, so
but thank you for letting me know.
That's part of the issue, right? That's part of the problem. We put resources out there. We're not getting to the people who need them.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you all for being with us. Thanks for your advocacy and all the work that you do. Good to see you, Delegate. We do have some more witnesses. Jennifer Stein, Edward Gallo, Serena Lau, Eric Lamont, and Alice Wilkerson. There's 5 seats up there, so if all 5 of you are here, come on up. Whoever gets there first can begin. I was just because there were 5 left.
Good afternoon, Alice Wilkerson with Advance Maryland on behalf of the Maryland Youth Justice Coalition. The Youth Justice Coalition is happy to be a member of this work group. And I would just sort of emphasize, it's really important to have this work group. I think working on it in the interim would be great if for some reason you can't pass the legislation. But in order to bring young people to the table in particular and to ensure that we have the perspectives of youth, what they need from all of the different regions of our state, which is dramatically different, the barriers and issues that they're facing, it's really important that we have the legislation so that we can make sure that we're getting all of those perspectives. The most important part about this is we are listening to people with lived experiences to try and understand what their needs are, what they actually want, how best to meet their needs, and what are they going to use, and then also how do we deliver it? Is it the passport? Is it something else? We need to hear from them to know what's actually going to be helpful, and in the end, that's going to make the best use of the resources that the state has.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Ted Gallo. I'm the Executive Director of the State Council on Child Abuse and Neglect. As an advisory body mandated by Maryland Family Law article, we are charged with making recommendations to the Governor and General Assembly on the prevention and treatment of child abuse and neglect. House Bill 915 aligns perfectly with this mission by establishing a dedicated work group on aging out of foster care to identify the necessary resources for these vulnerable young adults to achieve self-sufficiency. SCAN understands that the transition to adulthood is a high-risk period where the lack of stable housing, food security, and health care can lead to various types of neglect and exploitation that our organization works to prevent. By bringing together a diverse group of stakeholders, including 15 young people who have lived experience in the system, this bill ensures that Maryland's policy recommendations will be grounded in reality. This group will allow SCAN to deepen our recommendations and policy training needs by directly facilitating the study of the effectiveness of current resources, successful programs, and the circumstances surrounding the removal. For these reasons, SCAN urges a favorable report on House Bill 915.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Serena Lau. I am a volunteer supervisor at Voices for Children, which is Howard County's court-appointed special advocate, or CASA program. In addition to serving every child that goes through the foster care system in our county, our program collaborates with the Housing Commission and DSS to ensure that young adults who are aging out of foster care at 21 can utilize a foster youth to independence, or FYI, housing voucher, and that's been great in trying to prevent homelessness. I work with a young woman currently who's utilizing that voucher. She has 2 kids of her own who are now also in foster care. So that's to say this work group is really the first step to trying to figure out how to disrupt cycles of trauma stemming from abuse and neglect, trauma from being in foster care, and family separation. So I urge a favorable report. Thanks.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Erica Lamont. I am the Advocacy Director for Children's Rights from Maryland Legal Aid. We represent foster children and children involved with the system across the state of Maryland. We strongly support House Bill 915. I just want to say that the program that Ms. Lau spoke about in Howard County is not consistent, as we don't have those same programs across the state. And so something like this could bring together those ideas, helping that be, duplicated, so that other foster children can take advantage of that to enable housing security. From a budgetary perspective, early coordination matters. Youth who leave foster care without stable housing, health coverage, or support networks are significantly more likely to experience homelessness, unemployment, emergency health needs, and involvement with other public systems, all of which carry substantial long-term costs. Strategic evaluation and reform can reduce these downstream expenditures, and for those reasons, we support House Bill 915. And just to answer your question, it is very difficult for children who've aged out of foster care to access services, even though they may exist. And so having these 15 foster children on this committee will be invaluable. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your testimony. Thanks for the work that you do. Any questions for this panel? Well, thank you all so much. Appreciate you being with us. That concludes the bill hearing, and I think our bill hearings stay put, though, but we're adjourned.